Now this video is a bit of an interesting one, and is an idea which I picked up from another channel which I'll mention at the end. This thought experiment of a video is an attempt to try and understand the psychology of how we can overcome the problems of vanity and envy, but also highlights the Nietzschean slave morality that persists within envious people towards a higher order. So ultimately, this video tries to grasp an understanding of how we can overcome this problem by having a humble confidence and graciousness, but also why it is good to be blunt in remark at times, or alternatively, to grasp the courage of attaining the best qualities and what have been known as some of our worst characteristics. There has always in life been a difficulty in understanding and knowing the truth, due to our empirical perspectivism, experience, and subjective character. This can relate to learning things about the world, but most importantly, learning about ourselves and others. We could say that our own lives consist in the continuous striving for improvement, whether that begins from the bottom or the top of any human faculty. Our abilities from birth are not given to us by our own choosing. Thus develops a hierarchy, and due to this desire for improvement, we as a people need to conquer the most terrible expressions of our own nature. It is in common human nature that people who consciously realize that they are of a higher order need to conquer their vanity, while people who are of a lower order in a specific area of their lives need to conquer their envy. We have all experienced this on different levels and in different areas of our lives. For example, when someone is better than us in a particular sense, we become envious or resentful. Or when we are really good at something in an aspect of our lives, we become vain. But what can also be noticed is that those of a higher order, as we all are in different facets, put on a mask of false modesty against their own pride. This is to avoid the attack and judgment from the lower order, which will prey upon us through envy and then reduce us down to believing ourselves as mediocre in some way, or due to our own vain pride and talent. That is where the problem lies. You could say that this false modesty and stunted envy could be very popular today, which are both generated from a society with overbearing egalitarian values. The false modesty is not to be regarded as narcissistic false modesty, as it is different. In this case, it is only in place to avoid the attacks of the envious, and is thus produced, in effect, out of a sense of guilt or self-pity for oneself, which is then reinforced by the envious, resentful types. This happens because, as we all know, through the desire of improvement, we are always trying to become someone who we imagine to be, or become the person who we pretend or want to be. When this idealized fantasy of the self or vanity is damaged, it also damages our own self-conception. So, through this and by the powers of the envious, we internalize what is thrown at us. We deceive ourselves of fulfilling that potential, become doubtful, feel guilty, and then devalue our own ability, potential, and then join a similar class of the lower order, whereby you yourself start to become envious of a higher order, which you now believe is a place in which you do not belong. What is dangerous about this is that this process replicates itself in a cyclical manner, whereby the envious bring people down to a level of theirs, which debases and corrupts all higher order potentials. And then from this, you have a form of slave morality which breaks down the hierarchy into a mass of lower orders which would hate success, strength, nor attributes which are more objectively virtuous, or those which overcome all others. But how do we get around this problem? How do we stop the perpetual cycle of reproducing envious lower people or Nietzschean men of resentment, who are, I quote, the vengeful disguised as judges? How do we stop the reproduction of slave morality? Or more precisely, how do we maintain our confidence, relatively humble pride, and not get sucked down into the abyss? The answer, I think, is in how we view vanity, because if we get rid of excessive pride, that is self-deluding, then the resentful cannot use an idealized state of becoming to drag us down to their level of nihilism. We need to realize a form of true self-knowledge so that we do not doubt our own intelligence, which is caused by relying on an excessive pride when it is attacked. The only way one would do so is to develop a true sense of real humility, not false modesty, where you as a person understands their own strengths and talents, but at the same time doesn't fall to the attacks of one's pride and also doesn't get too high and mighty about oneself. What can be assured is that we all hold envy and vanity to a degree in certain aspects of our lives. So this does apply to most people unless you have a very strong and known character. So in a sense, to keep one's own higher developing order in play, we need to fundamentally know thyself with generosity, so that we do not run off into a Kierkegaardian infinity with our own pride, which when attacked will bring us into a nihilistic realization, but also to not succumb to the envious abyss, which is in an attempt to drag us into the deep. But maintaining such a balance within the dichotomy of pride and self-flagellation is extremely difficult. If you get rid of the vanity, you also get rid of the false modesty and the guilt, because the false modesty is only a defense mechanism against the attacking strikes of the envious, and false modesty in this sense is the source of guilt. Therefore, you eradicate both vanity and the recycling production of envy. Vanity is the source of false modesty because that is the only reason why you are hiding your excessive pride. False modesty is the source of guilt because you are scared of judgment of your vanity. Therefore, get rid of excessive vanity and you kill both guilt and false modesty together, which gives way for the ability to know thyself and gain true knowledge of oneself. But what is most beneficial is that you develop also a lacking care about what the envious people think and feel about you, which you could say is the new archetype of the, gracious prick. Because it is not that he or she has become cruel, which would make one a general prick, but it is that one does not care or is equally prudent in not caring about what others say about them. Because if one is in that state, the humble pride and higher power of one's own abilities can be maintained and not dragged down to the lower levels of the envious, or become hidden away out of sight from the masses. These grudging types want to replicate their own feelings within you so that you can replicate slave morality in a sense, hence why the phrase, misery loves company. By getting rid of the excessive vanity, false modesty and guilt, you can then develop a strong level of self-knowledge, where you as a person does not tip either towards infinite vanity or self-pity, which thus leads to debasement. Because by that point, you don't need to mask your higher ability with false modesty to feel safe from envy, and therefore not give a shit about what other people say to you with the intention of bringing you down. And this should fundamentally develop a strong confidence and graciousness within oneself, but also allow oneself to rebaptize only the best qualities of, let's say, of being an arsehole, which is not caring about what other people think about you in relation to your abilities. A quote from Nietzsche supports this interesting idea. I quote, "The great epochs of our life are the occasions when we gain the courage to rebaptize our evil qualities as our best qualities." End quote. Now you become confident with a strong backbone, but also humble in knowing thyself truly, or, because this is down to perspectivism, an arsehole. Yes, because the lower ordered and envious will still see you as just an arsehole anyways, because, well, they are obviously envious of your abilities, and because you will be using your relatively stable and humble pride to not care about what they say to you, because at this point, you won't be using false modesty to hide your abilities, which they think you will be doing. On the other hand, you will be seen as gracious, and only so by the people who have also taken this step towards humility, gratitude, and those who care and take pride in the higher orders in life, or more simply, those who are not easily offended by success or man overcoming one's own struggles and failures. So there you go, a bit of an interesting idea to make you think. Don't know what to think about it completely, but I thought it would be interesting for you guys to hear, as you can base it around the idea of developing confidence and overcoming the problems of vanity and envy. This idea specifically is one that I picked up from another YouTube channel that goes by the name Caleb Beers, whereby he made a video a few years ago called Nietzsche and the Virtues of Being a Prick, which I stumbled upon and found very intriguing, so I recommend you check that video out, as this video and the ideas around it are heavily influenced by it. If you enjoyed this video and found it insightful, make sure to like, subscribe and comment down below to get involved in the discussion. Talking about discussion, you can find a link to the Thoughts on Thinking Facebook group down below, so make sure to join if you want to get involved in conversations about philosophy, sociology, psychology and literature. Make sure to follow my social medias such as Instagram and Twitter to keep up to date with everything that is going on, and also Patreon, where you can donate a minimum of $2. Lastly, a quick shout out to all my patrons. Thank you to Danielle Kazmi, The Truthism, Noah Shahad, John Bisham, Richard Walter, Mark Smith, and Maggie DC for supporting me on Patreon. Thank you for watching, and I will speak to you in the next video.
Are you crying? Are you crying? Are you crying? There's no crying. There's no crying in foosball.
You fucking cried after 3 days in the fucking holding tank. Looked like a fucking pile of wet rags at court. You should see how I showed up to court after 3 days in the box with the light on.
Please, is there anything I can do, sir? Please.
Does he look like a bitch? What?
Don't do this to my wife, man. You don't know what you're doing to my family, man.
Does he look like a bitch?
Sir, please don't make me sleep in jail tonight, sir. Please. I'm begging.
We're not criminals.
They're going to make me sleep in jail.
Continue. You were saying something about best intentions?
Josh has never been arrested for recording.
Okay, so that's him getting arrested, and then his friend here makes a phone call that I want to touch on.
You know, that love shit usually goes one way, the hating shit usually goes back the other way. And it's usually a motherfucker that has more power and inspiration who does all the loving, and it's usually the one lacking that doing the hating. So everything as it should be. Now you start to communicate the real idea. Oh, you're far from stupid. Right? There's many folks on here, I know they ain't stupid. They're very clever people. They're very intelligent people when they want to be, but they're very ignorant when they choose to be. They want to ignore the facts, the record, the history, the words, the terms, the etymology, the sentiment, the cause and effect, the logic, where it all leads, the morality. They just want to put all that to the side because they got a feeling and a cause. That is the bane of our existence at this time. That is political correctness. That is division. And that's how our masters are gaming us on all sides, from all colors and all classes, whether you realize it or not. And that's why, for folks who are new, I call myself the unslaved one, because I'm under this strange notion that we're all in slavery on some level, that we're all being genocided on some level. I mean, I could point to them things they're shooting in the skies. I could point to the things they're shooting in your veins. I could point to your political structures and the corrupt clowns running it that you vote for to be your daddies on all sides. There's many reasons I have, strange as I am, to believe that we're all being enslaved and or genocided, and we don't have the time, energy, and attention to sit around arguing over colorism about it. I think the fact that it's happening to everybody on all scales to different levels is the reason we should be uniting now more than ever. I'm weird like that. Does that sound familiar to any other group of people out there? Hello, anyone with me? I'll wait. I'll wait when it starts to become clear what the obvious dynamic is here on this land, color aside, because we're talking a culture issue, we're talking a class issue, we're talking a status issue. What we're oftentimes not doing enough of is talking common fucking sense. Mr. O'Shea?
Listen to me.
Man, fucking nailing it, dude.
We have to hold out that, like they say, while a lot of folks use it as an excuse, we're all growing and learning here. Yeah, there's a fine line growing and learning, but just being a coward and never moving to the next level. I know that because I know me, and you're not going to convince me any different, right? Like, we're on like 3, 5, 10 years of this shit. Motherfuckers, if you're learning at this rate, you're going to be dead before we do what the fuck is minimal and necessary. The only reason that these motherfuckers need to have me in a room because I got the key to this understanding along with other folks, and we need to get this right to do the next right thing. If I have to lead in that perspective, well, then I was chosen to do that. If you motherfuckers want to lead and you want me to play second fiddle and give you the information, I really don't give a fuck about the clout and the credit. At the end of the day, this is what it's going to take to be men and to go to the next level. This is what's going to take for us to actually trust ourselves and each other, respect ourselves and each other. Right? I don't see any other way.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. We're back at it like we never left. Mr. Piser's down there. Mr. Piser, you're more than welcome to join, as you know. I can't prove it, but it did seem like you were subliminally crying to Mama Talcott earlier all about Daddy and how he's a boss instead of a leader. And you were just in complete denial and delusion. I don't know why you're talking to Jack. He's about to get thrown out of his house and has no has no career and can't lead anywhere in his life, in his home, in his family, with anything that he does. So I don't know what the point of telling him subliminally about me and how you feel about me instead of just doing and being and getting and having better in your life. Bizarre, but hey, feel free to keep that mama's spirit going and allowing you to feel better while you feel worse, feel better while you do worse. And I'm a big bad bully and meanie for pointing out the obvious cause and effect in everybody's life, and the results or lack thereof. I know. I'm a terrible person. So they're all freaking out. Well, it's a rather extreme characterization. The folks were going a little bit wild last night with the idea that they watched Mr. Cameron, who I messaged him today just to give him a heads up that I will most likely be. I don't want to get too animated here today. I'm still having some pains and wanting to heal and not wanting to put too much time, energy, and attention into this nonsense with these slaves and their foolishness, cowardice, and slavery. But this has become my job indirectly, my occupation. It occupies my time at least a couple hours a day and gives you folks somewhere to be and something to do. Content, non-content, right? So yeah, I figure it's just as good as any. We do 7 days a week here, over 1,000 days straight. So there's only so many things we're going to talk about and touch on, and there's always more left over. So they were going crazy. Chilli DeCastro is on with Cameron, power inherent to the people. The guy was on here a couple times. I haven't watched the clip. We're going to watch it here together. It's rather lengthy from what I understand. I may pull out of it at some point if I'm, if I get over it, if I get bored with it, if I start looping too hard, like 3 to 5 loops in, I'll just check out. But yeah, from what I understand, from what they tell me, Smelly Decastrated was over there crying and whining, acting like a bitch, telling people not to do what I do and others do because we're going to get everyone in trouble. Basically showing how much of a pathetic, decastrated agent wannabe, if not directly, he is and has always been. And that's why I'm not missable with these folks. We don't mix, right? I don't mix in with any of them. It doesn't matter how much money they offer me and how many views and subscribers and all the rest. We just don't mix because I have some level of self-respect, respect for the truth and integrity, and they have zero. Not only that, they're unscrupulous. They will lie, cheat, steal, project, reject, ignore, be arrogant, present false strength, present false modesty, as the intro so eloquently pointed out. That's what these folks do, inauthentic corporate males and females, and my skin crawls being around them. So much as I've shown up next to them at times in order to talk about rights, freedom, principles, spiritual faith, introduce and open a door to a new audience, and potentially to work with these folks, 9 out of 10 of them can't toe the line because of everything that I just mentioned. So there's a reason they come and find me because I'm doing what they're not. There's a reason that they leave me and won't come back or have me back on because I'm doing what they're not. And when I attempt to hold them accountable and point out responsibility and speak to the truth, they get real uppity and intimidated. And they start calling me the hater when, again, the one who's inspired and empowered and has results is doing all the loving. They're doing all the hating because they're not living that truth. If you loved yourself and loved God, you'd live the truth. Because you don't, I know you hate yourself and God and the truth. I know you're a Babylonian punk, coward, death worshiper who's bad faith and dishonorable. And your actions show that. Okay. And that's the difference between me and many others. I can read people. See, most of the audience is not great with reading people. They don't know who the frauds and the grifters are. They can't figure out who the tards are. They can't figure out any of it, the majority of them. And then there's a select few who can see the move and start to get the understanding, right? Especially when they show up next to me for a time and I start pointing things out. It just becomes more and more clear who's who and what's what. And that's part of why I do what I do. Because I'm going to get the truth out there one way or the other. And that doesn't mean I'm perfect by any means. I have my own flaws and my own faults. We're talking about certain aspects of self and certain aspects of this creation on here or off here. Okay. Especially if you're going to be on here in public talking about who and what you are, what you're doing and not doing, talking about other people and distorting the record, you're going to hear from me and others. That's accountability. That's responsibility. That's orientation toward justice. If you don't like it, pack up and go back to obscurity. You don't get to sit in front of an audience and placate and bullshit and live in denial and delusion and demean and devalue and slander and libel and do fraudulent defalcating activity without getting a talking to. You're lucky that's all it is. Back in the day, they cut your fucking ears off, cut your tongue out for being a lying, non-listening, false modest, but really with no humility and no humbleness, non-carer, non-walker of the truth and what's right. See, that's why you folks do what you do and you act like such bitch-ass beta males, because for the longest time, there's been little to no consequences for all the Sharpies and Harpies and all the charlatans and defalcators and all the rest of it, right? You've gotten away too easy for too long. And that's why this whole society and these cultures are in judgment right now. I pretty much say the same thing every day in a slightly different way at best. At worst, it's a continuous loop, just like this creational experience is on some level. So let's get to that. Let's view that together. It's a viewing party. Again, we're watching it for the first time here together, and I'm sure that I won't be disappointed on some level. We know they're all cowards. We know they're all frauds and grifters. We know they're all agents. They make it oh so easy to spot at this point. Wonder where we go from here. Okay, there's your boy. Yeah. DLZ Studios, another tard who can't figure out the difference between deleting laws, which can never happen because law is inherent under God, versus deleting codes. The reason that codes exist is because you beta males don't know the law and won't live it, dummy. So we can't do that either.
19 case of Mott versus United States says the cops can arrest you on your front porch. It's incredible. Pennsylvania versus Mims says you have to get out of the car for officer safety. Terry versus Ohio creates reasonable articulable suspicion and officer safety. So you absolutely have to, and then you have to have my poster. You have to have my ebooks. And then Anita said, I have the right and I've done nothing wrong. It's just so frustrating for me. So I want to bring on Power and Hair to the people, but to be fair and give him a fair shot here to present his case, because I welcome Power. Thank you for coming. I think your name's Cameron, correct?
Yes, sir. My name is Cameron.
Welcome to the program, man. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it. Cameron has emailed me a few times and asked to speak aloud with me. You know, look, I was going through a lot of brain fog and stuff for a long time. I finally got my head back on straight. So let's check out Cameron's video. He sent this to me.
It's always in relation to just a lot of court hearings from the Supreme Court stating that we do have the right to drive on the public road.
You're traveling, yeah, you're not doing commerce.
I'm not employed on the road. I'm not using the public roads that our ancestors paid for, man.
I get it.
These are our roads, my brother.
I get it.
You know?
And you use Black's Law Dictionary.
Yes,
I know.
sir, because their definitions are completely different. It's like we all ignorant. I just want to drive in private and just be myself without being. I'm not traveling with any goods or anything. I'm just using the public roads.
I get it.
And the courts have told me, man, I'm in the right. So that's why I just, I try to be as polite as possible because I understand. And I'm not here to cause no problems. I ain't doing nothing wrong. I'm just minding my own business.
I get it.
How many of our ancestors?
Okay, cool. So we have Cameron here, and since he's in the room, let's give him a shot. Okay, Cameron. So I think that you've been emailing me and telling me that people don't have to have a driver's license. Is that right?
Yeah, that's true.
So, and you've been able to travel freely in the United States for 9 years, and you don't have a driver's license, insurance, or registration. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. That's correct.
Okay. So now what you said a second ago was that the Supreme Court has said that we don't have to have a driver's license, but this is the 1915 case of Hendricks versus Maryland. I must have pulled this case up 20 or 30, I'm sorry, 100 times, 200 times.
Yes, sir.
And what it says here is the government shall appoint a commission of motor vehicles with the power to designate assistants.
Let me stop.
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, if I can just stop you right there, go right back to the top.
Sure.
Of right where you was at, that paragraph right there. Stop.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
What is the definition of a motor vehicle, Chilli?
Oops.
4 wheels, a motor, and goes on the public roads.
That's not how.
No, we're wrong already. He's already lied or obfuscated the record. USC, let's go to US code, right to the top. That's superior code. If we're going to say inferior and superior code, automobile is defined as 4 wheels and a motor on the road. Conveyance. A motor vehicle is defined as a commercial instrument. How many times do we have to go over this and even pull it up from the damn definition before you legal, wannabe, beagle, scholar, inauthentic corporate males get it right? And it's not that you're too autistic. You're too fucking cowardly to cop to the reality and be an activist and go to jail over and over again and get results. That's all it ever amounts to. Stop obfuscating, stop denying, stop detracting, and stop doing it in front of your tarred, coward audience too, because that's all it's about. You grifting on an audience. But we need Chilli's posters and cards, he just said before. Again, plug every fucking 5 minutes so he can live in mansions. Scum.
Going legalese, Papa.
Well, all right. Cool. So so just so you know, if I finish reading this, it says that every state shall have the right to form a DMV. And then on February 20, right here says here that the cop's going to define a motor vehicle as 4 wheels. Did you see this video last night? Did you watch it?
No,
Oh.
I'll be so busy, bro.
The reason I stopped you, he's not in his seatbelt, and your tag is obscured. The top of it, you can't see what it is, and it doesn't come back to anything.
My camera's blocking the top.
Yeah. Do you have your driver's license with you?
Right there, she gave up her rights.
She's a state national.
It don't matter. As soon as she gave up her name and information, she waived her right to privacy.
Well, let's see what happens to someone who is a state national.
I'm not no state national. I'm not no state national, by the way. I hope you know that. I don't promote that at all.
Well, what I'm saying is watch what happens to her without her driver's license, registration, and proof of insurance.
Okay.
I'm an American state national.
Okay, that's not a thing.
Yeah.
Do you have a registration and valid proof of insurance?
Does she talk too much too?
I'm not engaging in the commercial use of the highways or byways, nor am I operating in a for higher capacity.
Isn't that what you say too? Is that you're not working in a capacity?
I don't do that no more. I
What
mean,
do you do?
So out of my 9 years, what I had to go through was experience. You know, you had to go through that. Not ever getting arrested. I never got arrested on right to travel, especially moving from Dallas, Texas up to Oregon. So when I started though, I did go to court and I did lose on my first one. And then on my second one, I lost again, but the judge ended up writing a whole opinion. I asked him to write me an opinion and he wrote me all an opinion on where I was wrong. And so I was like, okay. So then I got deeper and I perfected it and I've never lost ever since. Everything I get now is motion to dismiss. And the reason being is because it all boils down to knowing who you are, Chilli. It really does. Like, you are a creation of the creator, bro. There's nothing above you. We created the government. We're top dogs.
We agree there.
Yeah, we're top dogs.
The part where I don't agree with you is that it depends on who I am. You know, I'm a big studier of history. The foundation of law comes from natural law, which if people don't know what law means, what the social contract means, the social contract that we live under here in America was written by a guy named Jean-Jacques Rousseau.
Okay.
And you can read this book. It's a very small pamphlet called The Social Contract. You can read it in one day. It's that easy.
He's always doing that. This is what these inauthentic corporate male bookworm dweebs do because they have none of their own experience. They always defer to a literature and a text, never to their own experience. Cameron and I talk about our experiences getting dismissals over and over again and applying the law. You keep talking about Jean-Jacques Rousseau and all the rest because you think it makes you sound intelligent and enlightened. And for the majority of the tarded out audience who went to college and has a degree and thinks they're intelligent too, they go, ooh, Chilli cited something. He must be a real legal scholar. He just cited someone and something. It makes you a moron. It makes you part of their system. Why are you citing another man's words and understanding and experience because you don't have your own? Well, I just answered my own question. So when you go in front of anyone, whether it's me as a judge or the guy in a black robe at court, he's going to think you're a bitch. Right. And that's how you're not going to get any play. And that's how you're not going to have any status and standing. And that's how they're going to laugh and giggle at you because you think you're so smart and intelligent when you're a fucking coward in your heart. And that's where this all begins and ends, with the conviction in your heart. And because you don't have that and you don't live by it and you didn't generate the outcome and the experience so you could give it away to others, you keep citing other people who have and do. That's why you came to get me. And when you didn't want to walk with me, the same way you'd go dig up Jean-Jacques Rousseau so he can speak for you about his experience you don't have. Your experience is crying like a bitch at court, which was in the intro today and will be in every intro that I decide to from here on out. It'll be a permanent record for who and what you are and what you serve. You're a coward in your heart, and you had the nerve on top of it to go into court and call the bailiff a pig out the side of your mouth till they checked your bitch ass. That's why you guys get what you get. That's why your audience is pathetic. They shouldn't give you a motherfucking thing. What they should give you is what for. But they're not accountable and responsible, good faith and honorable either. They're cowards in the heart, and they want a bunch of excuses and justifications, and they want a daddy too. Too bad you can't be their daddy. Best you're going to do is stepmama. Stepmama going to talk about all the other pimps and their words and terms and their experience, right? That's what you all do. It's like slackcot. You're all the same beta male. You keep talking about other people's words and terms and experiences because you don't have your own. That's what a bitch does in life. A bitch don't have their own real world experience. They got to talk about what the men are doing.
Easy to read. And the social contract says that we all agree to live under a set of laws so that we don't.
I'm not gonna get through this if I'm not gonna be able to comment, because if I'm gonna comment on every time he says something that makes no fucking sense and is based on demosocracy, which is not a republic, it's based on his collectivist communista lineage, because that's who and what he is, De Castro, another commie in his blood, probably related to Castro himself. He is Latina. He is a Latina after all. You keep saying that we all agreed to a social contract. That's the slave mind. None of us agreed to a social contract, and you can't point to it and you can't show it or pick it up or prove it. So why are you quoting some French scum when he's saying something that has to do with communista, collectivista, because you're a Latina bitch? That's ultimately the answer every time. We didn't on America make a collective bargain to be at the whim of a political science, corporate body politic endeavor. What they did do was directly admit to be part of it in contract by calling themselves United States citizens defined as a corporation, owing allegiance to the corporation, therefore being obligated to uphold policy, statute, and code, only given the force of law through the consent of the governed. Why don't you communista, French Revolution wannabe scum, Illuminati, go and quote the damn Constitution where you all think you get your rights from instead of God? Because it says in there you get them from God. Why don't you ever quote the damn Bill of Rights and Declaration of Independence, that all this crap is only given the force of law through the consent of the governed? The moment that the governed do not wish to consent because the rules, statutes, codes, and policies are not commensurate with God's law and the foundations of the law of this land codified in that contract we call the Constitution, it's null and void. That was the purpose of the Second Amendment, to put a gun in the face of an inauthentic corporate male and tell him, I dare you to double speak on me and try to take my property and rights. Watch what's going to happen next, bitch boy. And that's usually when people check their own bitch ass and stop trying to do tyranny and corruption. And no, I'm not saying that people should be doing that now. And I'm definitely not saying anybody should be doing that with agents. I don't do it, so I don't advocate folks do it. You're going to have to choose love and care, and you're going to have a heart, and you're going to have to display forgiveness. And you're going to have to not forget who and what you are while you display that forgiveness. And you're going to have to put the law of the land and what's true and correct on record over and over again and know it like you know your fucking goofy ass name. Know it like you don't know your daddy, Chilli, because that's the bottom line of this every motherfucking time. If you ask Mr. DeCastro, he didn't grow up with a father because his father was in prison on drug trafficking charges. And when he showed up to prison, his father, who was an underworld scum trafficker, would have lost all respect for him, crying in the back like a bitch to Mama Brian. How dare you? You don't know honor on any level. The lowest level of street honor, the highest level of godly honor. You don't know any of it. And you don't comport yourself by any of it. And that's why you get the bitch ass results you do. And that's why the real motherfuckers in this realm don't respect you. It's no different than inherent hierarchical power and value dynamics. I've said it a million times. Are no different in any room that you go to. If I was spitting in the fucking trap, putting the hardest shit down on wax and talking about my life, you'd be the fake ass bitch ass motherfucker with all the jewelry and the big house and the money who never fucking lived it. And it doesn't matter how much you think you have. When the time comes on the ground with the real ones, you don't matter. When the time comes in heaven, so to speak, or even on the ground here with God, you don't matter. And that's the most important thing. Worldly, low-level, bitch-ass motherfucker, just like a hoe. You think because 3,000 people show up every day and pay you a whole bunch of money that you mean something to God and the truth. You don't. You've been cast off by your Father in heaven because you won't walk in the truth, life, and way. And you keep having motherfuckers show up in your face like this kid and me, giving you the damn game and walking it with results and asking you why you're such a bitch. And instead of you just saying, like, at least I got respect for Brian, he said one day, I'm just a fucking punk coward. I don't have the balls to do what you do, Paulie boy. Well, at least you fucking finally admitted it to your audience, that you got no heart, that you're soul broken, that you may know the truth, but you still won't walk it because you prefer to live as a devil's child under a lie. That's where hoes prefer to live, under their pimp, with a lie that comforts them all day, every day. That's how I know you're a hoe who's pimped on. That's why this channel is named what it is, among other reasons. Because that's the inherent hierarchical power and value systems, and you ain't going to get away from it. And we all see who, those of us who matter, including God, the most important, see who and what you are and know your fucking heart. And I'm still waiting for you and bitch-ass Brian, and don't act like you don't watch my broadcast because we know you do for years, and don't act like motherfuckers don't go over there and tell you I'm talking, and you act like it's not happening because you're a fake-ass, weak-ass bitch on every level. You are who and what you are and do in everything that you are and what you do. And that's what I see over and over again. Still waiting for you all to call me back. I'm sure I'll be waiting till 1/4 to You're so fucking shook to be in my face when I talk this truth and when I walk it. You're so fucking shook to be seen by your weak ass audience and God for who and what you really are. Well, guess what? You can't run from the truth, boy. That's what your daddy never taught you while he was in jail doing a bid for drugs he never should have been pushing to begin with. You can't run from the truth. The truth always comes to light. Isn't it amazing, too, these bitch-ass motherfuckers get somebody who used to be a low-life criminal, lying scum, who's turned their ways under God with a revelation of trust, equity, and faith, but then tell me they don't believe in trust, equity, and faith, universal law, and God. Yeah, I'm sure you don't. And I smell it all over you, and it's evident in everything you do.
Kill each other. And this comes from the 1651 book called Leviathan, written by Thomas Hobbes. Thomas Hobbes, in his book Leviathan, writes about what's called the nature of man, or the natural man. And Hobbes says that men are the most brutish, rapiest, murderous beasts there are on earth, the most selfish. Yeah. You don't love your kids because you love your kids. You love your kids because you want to be a better dad than your dad was to you. You don't want people to say you're a bad dad. That's why you're good to your children. That's how far Hobbes took the nature of man. That work is going to be expounded with 2 treatises of government written by John
You
Locke,
are such a bitch. It's incredible.
Almost 100 years later. So then after that, Jean-Jacques Rousseau is going to write the social contract in the early 1700s. The social contract is going to say that we all agree to live by a set of laws. That's how you get our government today. It's going to be, the cherry on top is going to be a guy named Charles de Montesquieu, who's going to write a book, Spirit of Laws, where he's going to break down the different kinds of government, which would include an aristocratic government, a despotic government, a monarchical government, and a republican government, which is the one we live under here today. So these philosophers created the foundation of law.
Yeah, okay, but wait 1 second.
It's not law, Chilli. For the
can
1000th time. It's policy, statute, and code for a corporation that seeks to colonize every man and woman on this globe in New World Order, dummy. And they're inhabited by Shaitan. They're deceived in themselves, just like you are. You may really believe what you're saying, just like Montesquieu and the rest of them did. They're fucking avatar. He just talked about a guy who said the whole human race is inhabited with the spirit of the Leviathan. Well, doesn't that include the guy who wrote the paper, who then outlined 5 forms of colonizing government to put every man and woman who'd have been free under God with universal law on the land, not subject to anything, under somebody's control and false authority? Get a clue. This is why they called me Wild Man the day I popped out of my mother's stink hole. Another Babylonian drunk. Just be all the way real about it. Didn't have any time, energy, attention for me, and I'm glad she didn't, because unlike you, I grew up with nothing but men around me. Well, inauthentic corporate beta males. The point I'm making is I didn't have that mama's spirit injected up into me, right up into my rectum, like you all do. You're completely inhabited by your mama's spirit, talking about other men and what they wrote down, philosophical scribed out papers 1,000 fucking years ago, and how that somehow relates to anybody's fucking life and livelihood at any time in history. You fucking dunce. And it's because and it's exactly for the reason I just pointed out. This whole culture, community, world has been colonized. You've all been sent to institution. You've all been institutionalized, and you don't know what it's like to live as an actual supernatural man under God on the land without the imposition, the superimposing of an artificial reality you call culture and society. And it's just doing just great. Haven't you noticed how great it is? You fucking coward and moron. And they all think when they put the little Poindexter glasses on and go like this and talk with this NPR kind of talk in this effeminate way, that it buys them credibility. And you know what the scary part is? With most of the duped out beta male, weak ass institutionalized audience, it works. Way more people would listen to me if I came on here, cited other men who they thought were authorities because they hate themselves so much and don't think God works within them. And I put on little Poindexter glasses and I talk down to everyone, but make it seem like I'm on your level and I'm even raising you up. Yeah, because the way Paulie talks, it's a put down. He's holding us accountable and responsible to objective truth, eternal truth from the beginning of time in every great scripture. That's what's behind it. Right? That's the spirit of the law rather than the letter of the code. You keep quoting the letter of the code and citing the man instead of understanding the spirit that inhabits the beings and what it leads to. Yeah, I got to remember that. Step 1, get an outfit and a wardrobe that the institutionalized beta males can relate to. Step 2, get a countenance of complete inauthenticity. Right? And just have sarcastic, sardonic beta tone constantly. They won't say that's talking down to them. You know, the patronizing tone. No, I'm teaching you. Well, first it's going to be Montesquieu, then it's going to be Hobbes, then it's Jean-Jacques Rousseau, the guy on the boat. You know, where are we going with this? You're giving me a lecture on law when I've lived it, dummy? You're giving Cameron a lecture on law from other guys' codes who've lived it, dummy? Know your fucking place. This is why, I'm sorry to say, I never wish harm on anybody, but this is why on some level, I'm not sympathetic. I'm empathetic because I can see self as self and why we're all doing what we're doing, but I'm not sympathetic. Them fucking Bloods and Crips and them folks in the back should have worked you the fuck over and tuned you up because you're such a fucking hoe. I can't imagine anything for you in this life other than to be pimped on. Maybe they did run up inside you. Maybe you even wanted them to and let them. And we just never talked about that, you know? But it's like the fact that you went to jail for 160 days and cried on the phone to Brian and didn't stand on shit and had a whole bunch of money you were begging for and you did it in front of people you said were gang members and they didn't fucking poke you up or beat your ass or mount you like the hoe that you are, fucking impresses me. It surprises me and impresses me. I can't lie. You know, they must have had you on some kind of PC, or they must have had you in a you know, some kind of dorm with low level folks. Because if they'd have put you anywhere with folks who are about respect and about some level of code of honor, oh, they'd have worked you over something good, and you wouldn't have came out with the same fucking attitude and countenance and presentment you had. You'd have stopped the grifting and lying and the bullshit because you'd have been holding someone's pocket. You'd have been somebody's bitch for real. And you better hope you never get, see, that's why you ain't going to audit no more, because you better hope that you don't get locked up again. You're already crying about low-level nonviolent gang members. Ooh, gang members. You're the biggest fucking gang member. You're a statist, fascist, cultist. I respect Bloods and Crips more than your fucking bitch ass. They live by their own rules and their own code. They do what the fuck they want, and they go to jail behind it and say, give me another. You ain't got that kind of fucking get up and go, and you ain't got that kind of wherewithal, you hoe. So I don't wish anything bad on anybody because I'm not going to take on that karma, but don't wonder why there's a reason that a lot of this shit happens to a lot of these people. It's obvious. You present like a bitch and a hoe and slave. You get treated like a bitch, hoe, and slave. I don't see how much more I could boil it down and simplify it. 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. I'm changing frequencies here. I'm the bionic man now. That's what allows me to do this broadcast and scream and yell through my disease. I'm running on pure spirit and fucking frequency machines here. I did my red light therapy today too. It's 2 days so far. I went into a big coffin. I could barely close because I still got a belly after 31 days of not eating food. Fat slob. You know, I did it to myself. That's just what happens. You know, you give up drugs and all the rest of it. You try to walk with God and what's true and what's right and do this legal awful, and you cling to something, right? If it's not the reefer, it's the food. So, yeah, I've had to give up the food and the reefer recently. Pretty much everything else. And the lying, cheating, stealing, and grifting, too. For those others who wonder, it's not just that. It's the whole thing. See, we do things backward, a lot of us. While they're over there working out in the gym, you know, with his bitch tits and creatine, muscles full of water, caring so much about their body and themselves and being so selfish and chasing money and all the rest of it. I was giving my whole life over to doing what I believed is true and what's right. And I stopped caring for my body and myself, really. So it's this and that, right? I'm learning. Some of us are learning on a holistic level, even if it's 1% at a time. Unlike the rest of you who stopped learning because you've learned enough. You know it all. You done enough. You're a hero. You're a scholar. Buy my fucking book. Buy my posters. Buy my trifle. How pathetic. God help me. Just recently, I go, the contributions, like for the last 2 weeks, I've got little to nothing, and that hasn't happened in 4 years. And the first thing I go is, well, there's probably a reason for that because I'm an insufferable, obnoxious, arrogant, some might say, motherfucker here at times. So it wouldn't surprise me if people got over my shit, right? Or just get tired of it. But ultimately I go, no, it's just another opportunity, really. It's like whatever I choose it to be, you know, because you ain't ever going to control that. You ain't ever going to try to cling to that. There's no point. It's going to be whatever it's going to be in faith. And when there's a lull, right? When there's a sort of you know, an in-between period, it just gives you time to reflect. And I go, you know what? I need to be doing more and getting out more and moving around more and serving something and being a part of the community and doing some kind of busyness and good business. You know, what occurred to me recently is, and it's just, you know, makes sense on all levels. I was thinking something to do with cars. You know, because I figure if I can work with people and get value that way and actually be a good person and do good business, well, I'll have a whole bunch of repeat busyness. People need a car, right? You can serve the community that way. I can make my own hours and I probably do pretty decent with it, mostly because I'm not going to bullshit you. You know, this is what I'm making off of it. I leave myself a little something. I do repeat business. I do it based on people trusting me. And hey, if these people sell you a lemon and you bring it back here, I'm going to fight for you in the back and tell them they got to fix this shit because it's on my name. Right. So I'll be a dynamite car salesman, just like I'll be dynamite at whatever I do because I'm going to take the weight of the way to whatever I do. Unlike you corrupt bitch ass motherfuckers who want to do bad business and call it something else. And then down a motherfucker who's doing good business for the right reasons because they really care. You know, that's the thing. You folks have never been through nothing. Once you go through hell, you start to seek heaven. See, you've had it too easy and too comfortable for too long. That's why they say from the beginning of time, and I've seen it in my own life, self-chosen suffering or suffering in general is a gateway to enlightenment and understanding. Bet on it. Ask all the slaves who took 5 fucking boosters if they're not getting a little enlightenment and a little understanding based on their self-chosen suffering. Ask these fucking tards on both sides after they vote for a master again and this economy goes where it's obviously going. And if we have a greater depression the same way it happened last time, ask them if they get a little more enlightenment and understanding through their self-chosen suffering and slavery. Ask me if I didn't get it from choosing heroin and food and all the rest of the shit that causes me disease and pain and destroyed my fucking body. Yeah, it brought me a lot of enlightenment and understanding, regardless of the consequences.
Only be a victim of what you succumb yourself to.
How many times has your car been towed?
Once.
Right. If you don't have a license and registration, your car is going to get towed.
Ooh.
99 times out of 100. 999 times out of 100.
Why you're a narcissist. This is why you're a piece of shit. And I shouldn't even put this much time, energy, attention, but I can't stand to watch you lying, grifting narcissists try to lie and bullshit a whole bunch of people. And I should let them get grifted on and bullshitted. Who am I? Acting like Captain Save-A-Ho. But we'll make the point here, right? You just told that motherfucker his experience. That's why you're a narcissistic piece of shit. He just told you he's been doing this for almost 10 years and had his car towed 1 time. You just said 99 out of 100. That's me. That's my story. My car's been towed 3-4 times out of 5 times doing this. 1 or 2 times, got a decent result where nothing happened. So does that mean we stop? No. Does that mean it's a failure? No. Does that mean we're doing activism? Yes. Does that mean we're not a fucking coward because we line right back up and say, take the car and me again, and I'm going to come back out and do it all over again? Yeah, that's how that works. You wouldn't know it. You wouldn't know dedication and discipline.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
Just trying to scare your bitch ass audience to not do and be what they're supposed to. That's why you work for the devil. Because you're trying to scare who could potentially be God's people to walk in trust, equity, and faith and do the next right thing and become courageous and choose faith over fear. And you want to keep them in that fucking box with you of fear. You misery loves company, narcissistic, weak ass bitch. And I'm telling you, I know me and I know my past and I know history and how this all works. Judgment's coming for you, boy. That's why you got that 160 days. And that's why I keep walking out of court with dismissals and they're yelling, why is he free? Because even if it's 1%, I can't believe it either. God favors me. For some reason, some way, somehow. And don't think that I may not fuck it up too. Just like you and the rest of them. I'm a royal fuck up when I want to be. There's evidence of that. Let's get all the way really real with ourselves and each other. I may fuck up that package too. It ain't going to undo what we've already put on record for God. This ain't about me and you. This is bear witness and testimony of the faith and the grace and the mercy and the trust and the equity and all the rest of it of God and God's people. And that's not an attainment. That's a practice. We could slip at any time. But you live like this all day, every day. You don't pursue truth or greatness on any level. Oh, you're so fucking in judgment. You're so cursed at that point, you and your generations. I dare you to pop out a little Decastrated and watch what the fuck happens. This is some game here, folks. This universe and this script we're all running by while they don't think they're running by it.
I've seen you pull it off. I've seen Paul and Slave pull it off. I've seen a few people pull it off. I've seen.
But it's not about pulling it off either. I think the bigger point that what we're doing is kind of like, we'll look at it like this. So Nevada last year, they already enacted their decriminalization of all their traffic laws. So all of 2024, they've had no. Like, people can't go to jail. People can't, get found guilty. And then if they don't pay their fines, go to jail. They don't get their cars towed just for, like, the small little stuff on traffic law. It's all been decriminalized in Nevada, okay? So what we got going on is we got a crack in the concrete, okay? That crack is going to allow us to open it all the way up, to decriminalize traffic law across the United States. And that's what we're trying to do. But in that, I think what we've lost is we've lost the comprehension and knowing that if we are creators of the creators and we have millions of people that died for us now, millions of people that died for our freedom, that every time that we
doesn't give a fuck, man. Don't you see him looking down? Don't you see how guilty he is? Don't you know that he's going to put it right to the side? He doesn't give a fuck. He's a broken narcissistic spirit. He only wants his next contribution, his next 100,000, his next whatever. He's living in and of the world. He's not interested in doing what's true and what's right and honoring our lineage and our ancestors. He's not interested in what a man could do for his country rather than what the country could do for him. He's a bitch ass motherfucker that wants to run for governor to get more money and false power when he ain't done nothing on the ground yet as an activist. Laughable. And this is why they say, Plato and others said that if you do not take an active role in these situations, you will be governed by your inferiors. Decastros are running all over this land, seeking some kind of audience and constituency in some form of false government. They got the get up and go and the motivation. They got the ambition. They're willing to grift. The rest of us just want to do what's true and what's right and live some kind of peaceful life for the rest of our time here because we're tired of having to go to war all day, every day. Ironically, indirectly, I may be simulating that here. Metaphorically, metaphysically.
We actually disrespect not only ourselves, but those who died for us, right? If you look at it on the deeper principle aspect of it. And how I see it is, sometimes, man, you have to stand up for what's right. And sometimes it requires a sacrifice. And if you're just going to succumb to fear and intimidation, it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. The line is going to get pushed further and further and further in relation to just get a driver's license.
I never do that, Gary. And I'm glad that you noticed that because I hear a lot of shit about a lot of folks and I put it right out of my head and I try to, you watched me cry next to DeCastro on his broadcast because I wanted to believe that he was in this for the right reasons. I wanted to believe that we were a part of something. You see me keep it real all the way. From top to bottom, good, bad, and different, till I see what they really are. And I give them the benefit of the doubt over and over again. And they just keep showing themselves over and over again. And that's the thing, man. Trust, equity, and faith. Respect is conditional. You got to do it and be it to get it and have it. If you don't, well, then you don't. And this is why most of these people wind up with few true bonds in their life, few long-term relationships, few long-term value systems, and set of principles. You know, they blow in the wind. These folks are aimless. They're purposeless. They're meaningless. They're valueless when it comes to metaphysical, metaphorical value system. I guess ultimately, you know, I have no hatred for any of them. I just am telling them this is a form of tough love. You're bound to live out the consequences of your choices. So keep playing.
Then just do this, then just do that, then just do this. So it just gets pushed further and further until you get to the point of where you just can't be free. And that's the whole point of freedom of movement. It's like R.F. Kennedy Jr. was saying, you know, he was talking to this very high up law enforcement official in the committee one day. And I put it on my channel. And he asked him, he said, if I'm walking down the street, can a cop just come up and, you know, demand that I give ID? And the high up cop goes, well, no, he can ask for your consent. And then so R.F. Kennedy Jr. says, okay, well, good. That's what I thought. And he goes, well, now what if I'm on the roads and I'm driving and there's some kind of stop up there and they're stopping everybody and checking them for their mandatory insurance? He said, what about that? He said, what's the difference between me on the roads and me being in my car, right? There is no difference. The only time that you can really be a true valid claim can be brought forth against you is if there's what's called a verified complaint, right? A man or a living woman that is bringing forth a claim against you. That's a crime. That's what a crime is. You brought harm. Someone's bringing a claim, man. But everything else is just colorable law.
Well, I'm not sure when you stated, and I took a couple of notes here as you were talking. Cool. You stated that nobody goes to jail in Nevada for traffic laws. Now, unfortunately, my friend, I just got out of jail in Nevada. And there was lots of guys in jail for not having a driver's license. Tons. Matter of fact, my bunkmate, the guy next to me, was 20 years old, and he was arrested for not having a driver's license. And he was right next to me, and he was in jail for a week before he got out. His car was impounded. Even worse, what happened to him, his name's Juanito. He had his two dogs in the car, French Bulldog and a Chihuahua purebreds. Mm-hmm. When they arrested him for not having a driver's license, they took his two dogs to the pound and they neutered them both.
Okay, so do you know what that means?
They spayed them both. That means it's a tyrannical jackboot thug pig system.
Yes, but I'm talking about on the bigger principles, bro. That's a federal lawsuit, an easy federal lawsuit.
Your dogs have already been spayed.
Okay,
What don't you get about doing activism? You may have to die or go to jail. You've already killed off your own spirit and went to jail. What are you still scared of? What are you towing the line for? I don't get it. How much do they have to beat you and whip you before you say you're out? You keep saying, I want to go deeper in because I'll get away. There is no getting away. There's going through to get out. That's what activism and civil disobedience is. Didn't you grow up the same fucking institution as me and others where they told us in 8th grade that Gandhi made change only because he's willing to get beat and whipped over and over again and go to jail? That's what made the change? One person doing it? Dummy. And you're going to sit there and tell me about a man who has a bulldog and a chihuahua? Do I even need to go here, dude? They took Jennifer's fucking bulldog and chihuahua. She ironically has the same fucking 2 dogs. Do I have to even say anything here? You know, I've gotten endeared to them. I'm not completely heartless, as they like to say. I'm actually a pretty loving, caring person when I'm not fired up and passionate. I can get endeared to anyone and anything and have love for it and see self as self. I see life in that dog like I see life in me, both of them. It doesn't change what we're doing here and what the dynamic is, and feeling some way about it doesn't much matter. It's cause and effect. This is activism, dude. What do these people think this is? Like, people signed up to go to war in the military and they're crying about watching people get their heads blown off or people being taken to a box to be tortured. That's the game. That's what makes it worth it in the end, one way or the others. We had to go through hell to get to heaven. What is it they don't get about this? He's going to sit there and tell his audience, he's going to have his audience cry about the dogs getting taken and getting neutered. Hey, it's not great. I wouldn't like it. I'd be pissed as shit. More fuel for the fire for me to go in there and hold them accountable and to make a change. You know? You go, oh, something we didn't want happened, so now we're going to give up on our principles, which you can never give up because they're part of who and what we are at a heart-based level. We're just going to give up all what's true and right and great because something we didn't want happened. Childish. Bitch made. Pick one.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is, did they pursue a lawsuit for their constitutional rights being violated? Because if they were not pulled over in relation to reasonable articulable suspicion with a probable cause, and if they did not invoke their rights right off the bat, which you do so well by telling people that you need to invoke your rights. Yes, I have a script now that I do. So I don't tell people just to talk like what you see. There's a script. Every question is directed to immediately put the liability back on them without showing anything. It's the Eddie Craig script. These are godfathers in the right to travel. These are people who have brought forth civil suits. I just had Eddie Craig on 2 weeks ago. Big boy civil suits against Governor Greg Abbott and others. And like I'm dealing with a lot of big people, bro.
No, hold on. Let me stop you, Cameron. So, but the plain to me, when we get down to brass tacks, remember, I just spent 4 months in jail. You know that. So
yeah, but
when it comes down,
you were, bro, you've been in jail this whole time while you're in the supposed free world because you ain't free in your mind and heart and you live like a slave and you popped a whole bunch of shit too. You were in jail way before you got to jail. Let's be clear about that. You ain't gonna now run around and try to use the fact that you got put in jail acting like a bitch for street cred. Cut that out right now. Because that ain't why. Hey, bro, you remember I just got out of jail doing 4 months. You cried like a bitch the whole time. You didn't stand on nothing. You hired an attorney for hundreds of thousands. You let the whole fucking community down. You're a complete loser failure on every level and a fucking coward and an embarrassment. You don't get to say you went and did time and held it down and all the rest of it. You didn't. It was beyond pathetic and embarrassing, that showing you made every day. And you publicized it. It wasn't even like somebody was sneaking shots on you from the jail cell. You were doing live streams from the jail cell, crying on the phone to Brian like he was your mama and trying to grift off an audience to send you green dots so you could eat back there, bitch ass slave. Beyond pathetic and embarrassing. I can't say it enough.
Yourself. Like, we defend ourselves because we study law. You see what I'm saying? Like, I have a guy right now that's fighting his own felony case for the right to travel. Like, they literally put forgery charge against him when it's not a forgery charge. He made his own plates. Well, you know what happens now is when he gets done beating this, he's going to pursue his own civil rights lawsuit. And I know 242 is for them. I know it's 1983, which came from 1871 Ku Klux Klan Act. And that's why everybody now has eligibility to file a civil suit.
Well, that's why Cameron might be better off to do whatever this is. Right? This is where you got to know yourself and know others. I'm more, in a way, when I get passionate and fired up, I'm like the guy in Lord of the Rings. I'm the Irishman with one eye. I go, I'm passionate, fired up. I'm in faith. Let's go. I run out into a fucking crowd. They go, we don't know if he's going to make it back. He usually does, but you know, Cameron may be better off for it. You know, he's willing to sit there and entertain this and be nice, kind, and polite and go back and forth and show that this guy's a lying, grift, and fraud. And not call him out for the coward bitch he is. Well, that's where me and him differ, because I can only do about 10, 20, 30 minutes nowadays. You know, I'm Mr. New York, as you know. It's a New York minute with me. I ain't got time to sit around 10, 20, 30 minutes, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, and not call this shit out straightforward the way I see it and the way it is. And the way it was told and shown to me in so many different ways, if not internally, externally. Right? So I'm going to call these folks out the same way I call myself out. Paulie, you're being a bitch. You're acting like a coward in your heart. You're not doing what's true and what's right. You're not standing on business. You're giving up everything true and right and great in order to go along to get along. It's not a good look on you, bro. Not as a man. Not as a woman either, quite frankly. An equal partner to a man. So, but again, he just may be a better man for that, because he's going to get the audience to realize Chilli's a bitch if they're not completely called it out, because they won't have the excuse to say, look how mean Cameron's being. Paul Unslaved is so mean. He's so narcissistic and egotistical for talking like that. He's so like hooded out and thug wannabe ganged up. And I'm like, no, I'm really not. I'm just straightforward and authentic, and I'm East Coast. You know, I'm rough, I'm raw, I'm brash at times. And beyond that is a really big, loving, caring heart, right? I'm just not willing to open it up completely to anybody and everybody for obvious reasons. Can you see? Can you look? If anything, I'm opening it up completely to God, right? And those who open themselves up completely to God and the truth and walk with me, right? Beyond I love you is I am you. Remember that. The dynamics don't change.
Is because the blacks had to suffer it first, right?
Yeah.
But if we get to the base of it, what I just want you to understand is qualified immunity is hanging by a thread. It literally is. Go read the judge's opinions out there. Judge
qualified immunity is gone in 4 states. It's gone in
gone.
Colorado.
It's hanging by.
And what has changed in Colorado? What has changed in Connecticut?
What's changed in Colorado is Brian O'Shea and myself and others have been stopped and not cited and not even asked for identification, because they're starting to serve men and women. This is a long game activism campaign. You're not in it for the right reasons in the long haul. You're in it for the wrong reasons and the short change. See? So we're going to do this for the rest of our lives. We're going to make change 1% at a time. And it's evident in our interactions and experiences. It's evident that Colorado put out a bulletin saying they're not going to prosecute traffic offenses anymore. Don't stop. Why are you I know why, because you're the devil's child. I already said it. Let's just keep going. I'm looping now. Remember I said 3 to 5 loops and I'm going to, yeah, we're there. You get it. We get it.
What has changed?
You're fucking agent scum. You're another Masonic agent humiliation ritual scum. You're the devil's child, and he's using you greatly because you have more numbers than PIMP and PIIP. Mr. Power Inherent in the people. You have double, triple, quadruple, 10 times the subscribers. We're gaining on you in numbers, though, by the way, because the tide is turning. The people are starting to realize they're tired of following fake leaders who act like bitches and don't stand on nothing. Well, it's about time.
In New Mexico.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's if they're not okay. Well, if they're not changing, guess what? You want to know why? It's because the people don't got the knowledge to bring forth the civil suit.
No.
Because they have a whole plan in place to keep the civil rights attorneys very low, so they don't pick it up, so they don't set precedent. Like you saw that cop right there just say, "You're right." Even though we put you in handcuffs when you wasn't driving, when we pulled over somebody else, even though we brought you all the way back down to the car and forced you to give up information under threat of duress, now we're going to say, even though we saw your traveler plates and that gives notice that you're not for hire, we're going to say now, after you pull out these documents and prove that you're right, that you're actually right by saying, yeah, you have the right to travel. You're not doing commerce. Wait, let me finish. Guess what? I have that on the record. I filed a federal suit. I'm going for precedent. So even if we don't have it, Chilli, I'm trying right now to do it for us. That's
so
why
how big is that movement?
Well, we've got.
I mean, how many?
You are such a fucking bitch. I'm not gonna get through. Yo, Cameron, you want keys? You want to do the broadcast over here, bro? Because I could barely, like she just said in the chat, I could barely stomach this motherfucker. How dismissive and demeaning and condescending he is. And I get it, because he's speaking for his audience and the majority of the public. How big is the movement? Bitch ass motherfucker. Did you forget like 200 people took over Cuba and put it under De Castro? Did you forget that? Did you forget one guy at Tiananmen Square made a change? Did you forget that? Did you forget the guy in the scripture 2,000 years ago shook up a whole fucking world and had us rethinking who and what we are and what we're doing with our lives? Did you forget that? You know what it really is? I should have more empathy and sympathy for you. You really are just such a disintegrated, disempowered, dishonorable motherfucker. You don't even know your own power, let alone anyone else's as an individual, let alone a group. How big is the movement? Big enough to have your bitch ass having them on constantly and talking about it while you're outclassed by it. That's how big. Big enough to be living everything you say you are while you ain't. That's how big. Big enough for 2-3 states already to start giving notices that they ain't going to tolerate it much longer, and they're already changing how they deal with it. That's how big. Because it only takes 1, 5, 10, 15, 20 real motherfuckers to make real change doing real things. Billions of you fake ass, bitch ass, pawned out motherfuckers don't do nothing, complaining and crying and acting up at court. That's the difference. You don't understand the difference. You still haven't figured out the difference and how it all works.
How big is it? How many people? So let's poll the audience. There's 300 people here. How many people decided that they're not going to have a driver's license? Put a 1 in the chat if you decide. Put a 2 in the chat if you have a driver. I mean, I'm just saying there's no movement here.
You can have a driver's license and still invoke the right to travel. Do you know that?
I've got some I want to give you a chance to speak and hear you out. You've been emailing, you want to talk. I want to give you that chance. Yeah. But I just want to show you what happens to people. I want you to take a look at this.
I know. They don't know the right.
Foreign law under Amendment 11 of both the Constitution and the Constitution of the United States, and I claim all my exemptions.
Okay, so do you have any other documentation from the United States government saying that you're exempt from these, or that you're
I don't have my paperwork in the car with me, but I do have it.
Okay.
And that's my form of ID, and those are my private plates on the car.
Okay, this is a passport. Okay, so I'm aware of your group that you're with. This doesn't grant you any rights to drive. I will. Do you have a driver's license in any state in the United States?
No.
No. Okay. Do you have any other documentation? Nothing from the United States government saying you have diplomatic immunity?
My paperwork is at my house.
Okay. Are you aware that in the United States, when you're a diplomat,
ain't got nothing to do with what we teach, though. We don't teach. See, she coming with them ideas that give them red flags. She's already given up her contract, her name. She got the window all the way down, bro. She's sitting here like giving them eligibility. There's a way to go about it. I get what you're saying.
No, but I just wanted people to see what happens if you don't have a license, registration, and proof of insurance.
Are you claiming to be a
diplomat? No, you want to see how scared they should be to not make a change because you're a Luciferian swine.
So you're a foreign state national.
Yes, and if you run my
you're claiming diplomatic immunity, correct?
If you run my passport, you'll be able to see my documents there.
It reflects. So do you have a driver's license in any state in the United States?
That is my form of ID, sir.
Do you have a driver's license? That's not my question. Do you have a driver's license?
No, that is my form of ID.
Do you have a registration or a valid proof of insurance for the vehicle? It's a yes or no question.
No.
Okay. Any particular reason he wasn't seatbelted?
No,
he was hanging out the window. Yeah, but when we were behind him, he didn't have his seatbelt on.
Away from school.
Okay, where did you obtain that tag?
From foreign state national guy in Alabama.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So you're aware that in the United States and in the state of Florida, you're required to have specific tags that actually go to the vehicle and is registered. Are you aware of that?
My private automobile.
Okay. You've been filled with some false information. So in the state of Florida, you're required to have a driver's license.
I'm not sure many people are aware.
We are. I have read a lot about the foreign state nationals.
I don't know. I feel like they give people a bad rap because I've been in situations before.
Okay, Chilli, stop.
Explain to them.
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
All right, you
haven't got to the part where he drags her out of the car, puts her in torture cuffs.
You want to know why? You want to know why? Because he argued with her to get her to.
Big deal, bro. Big deal. I've been pulled out and put into torture cuffs, as you call it, over and over again, and it never amounts to nothing. And it's only recently I filed a lawsuit. I should have did that all along. Only recently, I finally got some get up and go and fire under my ass, and had a woman here who's willing to do the clerical part of things. So we came together on that. Like a team power couple. So what's your point, bro? We get pulled out of the car, get the car taken over and over. You just wrote me a blank check, essentially, for 2 days in the box. I'm going to go to the box for a day or two, whatever. And I'm going to pop right out better than I was, more faithful, trustworthy, equitable, under God, in total alignment with that force. And then we're going to go to litigation and you're going to pay me. It's going to be ghetto lottery. And I'm going to do that so many times, you're going to get tired of doing it. And I'm going to get more and more experience and more successes and more stories to tell and have more and more you bitch ass motherfuckers yelling, why is he free? Sounds like fun to me. We got to do something while we're here. Got to be a part of something, no?
Man, there's a thing about invoking your rights. When you invoke your rights and you stand on your rights and you ask the right questions and you don't argue with people like this, you get a lot further. Okay,
Cameron, that guy would have taken you to jail. That cop right there.
he wouldn't have been
couldn't
able. Hey, if he would have, guess what, bro? I'm gonna spend my night in jail, and I got a federal lawsuit coming, bro.
It's not just a night in jail, Cameron. It's your car's impounded. You can't get to work. Your children are displaced, and they go through trauma. I don't want to pay a driver's license fee. I don't want to pay for registration. I don't want to be forced in those things. I think insurance is a smart thing to have. But what I'm telling you is your idea of telling people not to have a driver's license, I think is completely wrong. And I think that you're going to walk people into cuffs. And I just spent 4 months in jail. It's hell. And I don't want people to go to jail. And I think it's reckless. And I think it's something you should reconsider. Because
why was jail hell, DeCastro? Because you didn't have any fucking stimuli, because you didn't have any of your addictions, because you didn't have any of your fake ass, bitch ass friends and family to cry to and act like a bunch of weak, pathetic, not even animals. Why was it so hell? You get to be with yourself and God. You get to ministry and fellowship, talk to other people there about the law. You get 3 meals a day. You get your little bed area. Why is it so hellish for you? Because you didn't have your $1 million condos and your bathrobe and all your comforts, you comfort freak bitch. It ain't hell. It's glorified summer camp in concrete and steel. You have no idea what fucking hell is. That's the reality. You have no idea you're in a living hell on some level. Crying about 4 months at a county jail where you didn't get no hands and feet put on you, ate every fucking day, 3 meals a day. Had a place to sleep, had a TV in the fucking corner, had a library to go read, and a bunch of other bitch-ass motherfucking addicts to whine and cry to and talk to or potentially raise up and help heal. Ooh, it's hell. You think that's hell? You better hope will come for this land. What's come for every other land from the beginning of time don't come from this land when you ain't eating like I just did, no food for 31 days. You think that's hell? When you got bombs dropping 24 hours, 365 around you? When you got motherfuckers laying in sewage and blood and guts everywhere? You have no fucking idea what hell is. Keep crying and whining and making a victim out of yourself when you created most of your own problems, and you're going to get to taste what the fuck hell is before you leave up out of here. And it's going to humble your bitch ass and finally get you some humility to be better.
Yeah. People are going to jail. Listen to what he says. And he's even going to tell her, gets on the phone with one of her guys, and he says something, and the guy says, it's got 4 wheels and a motor, and it goes on public roads. It's a motor vehicle.
Well,
and then he takes her to the dungeon.
Well, that's not right. That won't stand in court.
It will stand.
No, Chilli.
Did I lose you?
I've never lost, Chilli. No, you haven't lost me. I've never lost, bro, in court. I've never been taken to jail or my right to travel. And you want to know why? It's because I stand on truth. I don't sit here and utilize this passport theme and I got it from this person and I'm using these private plates that I got from this person with their national emblem all on it. And I'm part of this I'm sovereign U.S. national. I don't play none of that, bro.
In the private chat, send me the video. Show me the video. I'm in the private. I got you in, we have a private chat on StreamYard here.
Yeah.
Send me the video of you not being arrested and taken to jail and your car not being impounded for not having a driver's license or registration.
Well, I've got several of them. I do have one.
Send me one. Let's watch it right now.
Okay.
Yeah, let's watch it. Because I've seen Paul and Slave get away with it. I've seen Tulane X, I think his name is. Tuware X, what's his name? He's a black guy where he says,
yeah, but he didn't really get away with it. He tells people that he's on the do not detain list and he's not. There is no such thing.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you don't have a driver's license, you're going to get arrested and go to jail. 99 times out of 100.
I don't know what Cameron's talking about. There's no such thing. So you know that for a fact because you just said something. You just said something for a fact when there's folks who got contacts in police departments who say it is a thing. That there are certain statuses on the passport that are akin to diplomatic immunity that when they pull up the record, it says, do not detain, do not incarcerate, lifetime concealed carry permit. So you're denying that out of hand because you have all the information about what exists. Cut it the fuck out. Now I'm going to come at him a little bit. Cameron and others, you all don't know everything out there that exists. I know a lot of you think you do. This is coming from me now, Mr. Know-It-All, like they like to say. You have no idea what the fuck is out there. Conclusively, completely. Anything and everything that you could think of probably exists if you can imagine it. I've witnessed it to some degree with my interactions. Every time they take me, they're on the phone with some organization. We don't know who it is on the other side going, what do you mean you guys aren't going to take them to the jail and whoever else? What do you mean? What do you mean? Then the superior of whatever arresting agency comes in and tells them the last 2 or 3 times, this only happened once in the last 20 years, but someone's going to come down and talk to you and give you a talking to. Don't worry about it, though. I heard him say that to the whole jail staff after the head of the jail said, we're not taking him in here. And they just dropped me off and left me because they thought it was a gun charge. So there's no way they can take me back and drop me back off. The head of the jail said, we don't want him. Don't leave him here. The sheriffs left me there anyway. So another dismissal, by the way. And in between, the cop was standing next to my cell on the phone saying, what do you mean you're not going to take him? There's guns behind this. He's got warrants that have been well, it doesn't show that it's been canceled on their side, apparently. But they say I have charges. He didn't say warrants. He said he has charges, felony charges from Colorado. No warrants out on it, though. But it still shows on the NICS system. And they're not pursuing the charges. Okay? Then like I said, the head sheriff who was the lead, the oldest guy there, who you could tell had the most experience, had to come down there and tell the jail staff, someone's going to come down and have a talk with all of you. This only happened once time before in the last 20 years. I got a feeling I know what happened. They got contacted by the feds and said, did you take our boy again? You take that boy that activated us and put us on record and said that he's a man on the land and he has God-given rights and that he's not subject to statute, policy, and code. Yeah, you got to give that up. He's not one of them ones. Go play that with the rest of the slaves. I can't prove it. They're never going to let me know what's going on conclusively. The courts, anybody. And Slow State and others are going to keep yelling, why is he free? Not because I'm ratting, not because I'm working with him. I ain't paid by nobody. I ain't working with nobody. I ain't giving information to nobody. What I did do was activate him and put him on record and tell him, if I keep traveling around this land and I keep getting arrested from one fucking state to the other, you folks, the feds, FBI, whoever, have to come down here and start investigating because they're taking everybody's rights. They're not paying transfer taxes. They're taking property under constructive fraud. And it's completely insane and needs to stop. So I got a feeling after I put them on notice, they started following me and they started keeping abreast of what's going on with me. And I got a feeling that they put some kind of notation on my record to where anytime I get arrested, they have to be contacted. And that's when they let them know the unfortunate news that I'm not subject to prosecution under their codes, policies, and statutes because I put them all on notice. Now it's dereliction of duty for them if they allow it to happen. For the supposed federal government corporation, because they've been put on notice. Paulie's not a U.S. citizen. Paulie doesn't have any of those earmarkings for statute, policy, and code to be enforced. He has an affidavit and claim on record. If you try to force this on him, we're going to be liable. Is the reality of it. That's how law works. That's how contracting works. That's how liability works. Hello. Trust, equity, and faith. You give what you get. You don't think I was scared to call up the feds and 3 other organizations and put them on record and think that they may think that I'm crazy? Oh, well, we're gambling. If I'm crazy, it's crazy like a fox. I ain't stupid. These are folks who, when DHS came in to talk to me and ask me about all the guns and everything else, said, what's he saying? They had to turn to each other and try to figure out what I was saying because I talk so fast and I use words that apparently they don't understand at times. What he called old English. I said, you mean I'm not retarded like you and the rest? I can actually speak and understand and know etymology and how this all works together. That's the foundations of law, linguistics, and communications, along with trust, equity, and faith. So they know I'm not stupid. They know I'm not crazy. They know I'm right on the money. And when I send them back to their own damn codes to figure out who and what they are and what they're supposed to be doing, it shocks the shit out of them. Turns out little Paulie boy, the ex-heroin addict, knows more than they do about their fucking career that they haven't gone to research and learn about. Because I care. That's always the principle, the bonding principle, that I have a heart and actually care, despite how I come off and present.
Chilli, that's not
I was
true.
just in jail with a guy who was 20 years old and was in jail next to me. He was my bunkmate.
Chilli, it comes down
am I lying?
No, it comes down to, you're right. You're right. I'm not saying it's not happening.
I don't want to be right, brother. I love you. I respect you. I know you're a freedom fighter.
There goes the love bombing. He did the same thing with me till he didn't. Just like the narc that he is. I love you. I love you. You don't love anybody. You don't even love yourself and the truth. You don't love God, and you're not loved by God, obviously. If you were, God wouldn't have had you do the 160. Quite frankly, that might be a test and a challenge anyway. I've said it before. I might get a 160 to test and challenge my ass because I've been getting a little uppity for a while now. But yeah, cut that bullshit out, man. We don't believe you. We're not buying that. You don't know what true love is. Fucking coward. Like a man could know true love without consequence and sacrifice and co-creation in trust, equity, and faith principles and values. You don't know what true love is. You know that fake bitch ass love that spirit of your mama gave you, that keep you safe shit, where you never grow and learn and get beyond your fear and become what you're meant to be. That's the love you know. That attachment, bondage, vice shit, that emotional based deception.
You're not right.
You're a hero, dude. What I'm saying is you're going to get people thrown in jail.
No. And
Yes,
if
you are.
I do, Chilli, and people know what they know coming out of me, guess what's going to happen? They're going to file their own civil lawsuit, bro, without no attorney needed. We
Really?
have the power. Yes, we have the power of AI now. Listen. So I have a thing that I made. It's called Operation Wise Dome. And 20 people came together to pay $10 a month to get ChatGPT Pro model. It's $200 a month. So
I
ain't
love
paying
it.
that no
I
more.
love it. I love it.
And
Can I get in the group?
yeah, it's free. It's free for everybody. So 20 people just pay for everybody to be free, right? It's so cool. Anyway, what we do, Chilli, is on that back end, I've learned how to use AI for 2 years. I've used it heavily. And I probably could have gone off and become, maybe a millionaire if I wanted to, dude, by creating an app. I've had the idea and I've been utilizing this and giving it away for free to people. So, but I didn't. I thought I'd utilize my time and not make money and empower people. So instead of
Do
making
you
money,
think you're empowering people?
Yes.
Do you think
You want
that's
to know
what you're
why?
doing?
Yes. If you get down deep into it, what we are doing is we're learning all of our constitutional rights, how to invoke all those constitutional rights, how to make sure that our servants are doing what they're supposed to in relation.
They're not constitutional rights. They're natural rights. They're codified in the Constitution and protected by the Constitution and later amended by the Constitution. 11 to 14 congressional citizen. Cut the fucking games. Get it right. Stop calling them constitutional rights. If you believe you get your rights from the Constitution, that means whoever wrote it, whoever amended it, can take them rights from you. Hello.
To knowing our constitutional rights. Then if we go into court, not also are we knowing the violations and rights, but we're knowing what we are to file, what principles, doctrines, rules, and procedures we are to invoke, because guess what? The court's going to skip right over those until you invoke them. And most lawyers cannot do it because they are part of an association.
Hold on a second. Isabel, listen, he's not a clown. Cameron is a freedom fighter.
There you go. There's the fucking gaslighting happening from the audience. He's gonna now pretend that he's a gentleman and a mediator. He's not a clown. He's a freedom fighter. Well, then what does that make you? You're the clown. Why don't you be honest with that dumb bitch down there who mistakes the false for the true and the true for the false, just like they'll try to do with me? I'm the real deal. Cameron may be the real deal. I don't know much about him. He seems to have videos on record, seems to walk the walk. If he does, he's the real deal. The clowns are the ones calling themselves scholars and selling products who cry at court and call the bailiff pigs and fail miserably and hire attorneys and waste money to do it. He's the fucking clown. Man, it's amazing how we're living in two worlds here. We're walking in two worlds constantly, and some of us can see and hear and feel and talk and get results, and the rest are just completely lost in the sauce. And because they have a bunch of other falsely empowered codependents around them, they think they're on to something because they all agree.
He is an absolutely wonderful person. We disagree here, but he's a wonderful person. He's not a clown. This is a good man.
No,
And
we don't disagree because we both want freedom.
I just want Isabel to know this. Isabel
Yeah.
the channel, and I love Isabel, but I don't want to insult you. That's why I'm biting my tongue all the time so that I don't interrupt you and I give you a fair opportunity to present your case. I'm on the other side of the line on this with you. I don't want to tell people not to get a driver's license and to join a chat GPT group and they can fight their case in AI after their car gets impounded and they get put in torture cuffs and drugged down to a dungeon.
It's not just AI. It's utilizing law, case law. We can be in Google Scholar. Just
Can I tell you where the nightmares come from? Let me tell you where the nightmares come from.
What?
You're gonna turn around, you're gonna face the wall. you're gonna take off all your clothes. You're gonna drop them on the ground. And if you turn or twist in any direction, I'm gonna consider that an act of violence. And I'm gonna hurt you.
They're pretty wild.
Yeah, you got nightmares because you wanted to pop shit and couldn't handle the results. You shouldn't have called that bailiff a pig at court. That's what gets you treated like a hoe at jail. On either side of the bars, acting like something you ain't. You've never seen me at court pop shit with anybody, call people out of their name. You've never seen me do any of that, and you wouldn't see me do any of that because that's the quickest way to find yourself in bad faith and dishonor and get locked the fuck up and then let them play with you in the back. They didn't even do nothing to you, bro. You know how many times I was taken in a car, grabbed by the neck, by the throat, bringing around back of a building. They tried to beat me back on New York. You know how many times they followed me home in a car, 2 a.m, told me get in the car, drove me to an empty parking lot, said you're going to admit to a whole bunch of crimes or I'm going to shove this baton up your fucking nose. You know how many times, bro? Stop crying, you bitch ass motherfucker. Because the guy told you strip down. Yeah, we were strip search every time we went to fucking visiting. When I did 100 days. Twice a fucking week, whatever it was. Once a week. You know where the nightmares come from? Having to do what every man does in a gym locker room every day. Strip down in front of another man. And that man said, because you want to call us a pig, if you try to turn or twist, we're going to take it as an act of violence and show you who the pussy is. Punk coward. Then you want to start crying and having nightmares. Well, you shouldn't have been popping shit at court then, bitch ass motherfucker. That's how you get some humbleness and humility. You know how many times I had a gun put in my fucking face and still didn't give a fuck and told the person putting it in my face, well, now you got to pull the trigger. If not, you just wasted a gun pull. And they didn't do shit because you got to be willing to die in order to be willing to live here. And you still haven't figured what conviction is. You still haven't figured it out. And I'm going to help you. It's not about me being rough and tough and big and bad. That ain't what it's about. It's about seeing it through and standing on something and not letting fear run your fucking life from top to bottom. You wouldn't know nothing about that. And I'm not saying it's easy. It's because it's not easy that it's a worthy practice. Hello.
What you'll do is you'll put your hands on both sides of your ass cheeks. You will bend over at the hips and not the knees.
You love that shit.
You will spread your ass cheeks.
Cut it out, man. We could tell by them red glasses that you were wearing for so long and that lisp and the way that you swish. You love that shit on some level. You loved having another man tell you finally what you should have been doing all along. Bend over, bitch ass motherfucker, and spread him for daddy. Crying. He's welling up now. You love it on some level. Cut it out. That's why you work out at the gym all day, every day. So when you finally crack a smile for daddy at court, you look good doing it. Doggy style. Poke that back out, boy. Hoe-ass motherfucker should do hoe-ass shit. I don't see the problem.
And you will cough twice, 2 heavy coughs. And if you don't do exactly as I tell you to do right here, right now, we're going to hurt you and hurt you badly.
It's crazy. I get it, man.
So don't tell me, bro. Don't tell me. It is very real. If you tell people not to get a driver's license, that's what they're going to go through.
Hey, I'll tell you something like this, bro. I've been to prison, not just jail. So
yeah,
when it comes to
how long were you in prison for?
I was in prison for 2 years, bro. So when it comes down to
how long? I didn't know that. Oh, there you go. Trying to tell somebody about life who's already lived it 5 times over than you have. Oh, I didn't know that. Well, shut your bitch ass mouth and ass before you pop out the window, ho. As if he don't know what it's like to do time. As if he don't know what it's like to go to strip search. As if he don't know what it's like to have his life threatened over and over again. This is what they say about me. Paulie's egotistical, narcissistic, self-centered. No, that's him. I know self is self. I know the walk and the journey and the experience of life. You want to talk like the rest of us don't know it when we lived it 5 times over more than you, bitch ass slave. You want to get to the root of all this? Pain is what makes you on some level, not breaks you, not for a bitch ass motherfucker like you. You want to talk real pain? How about not having your mommy and daddy in your life, DeCastro? You know about at least one of those. That's where this all started. That's what makes you. If you let it, that's what breaks you if you're a bitch ass motherfucker and don't go with God. Like there's any kind of pain like that.
not being loved and accepted and understood and nurtured by your own fucking people, turned the fuck out, not cared for, demeaned, devalued, persecuted, prosecuted, sent the fuck away. You want to talk about the pain of the rest of this shit? It's nothing compared to that. Why don't you tap into that? See, you got a lot of folks who've never done their shadow work, who've never got really real with themselves and looked into their background and accepted it and try to move forward and trust equity and faith and be better and do better and break the generational curses. Crying about being a victim 4 months when you got a motherfucker in front of you who's done equal that, 5 times that, and prison time, not county jail, with real motherfuckers. Greetings, Julian. Can't help but get fired up when all you got to do is wind Paulie up and put him in front of the weak ass infidel Babylonian slaves lying to everybody's face and projecting, and you know I'm gonna go off. It's like fucking clockwork. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well, thanks. Hopefully you're doing well as well. And yeah, I get it. It's like I've been fortunate enough in my life not to be locked up for huge amounts of time or anything. And to the people who are like wrongly fucking locked up for years, or to those just a lot less fortunate, to hear this type of shit from somebody like this guy, I could only imagine what that feels like. Probably having a red hot fucking rod of iron just pushed through your heart because you've actually had to live it. You've had to get the shit kicked out of you inside those places. You've had to fucking like go through hell in those, not just strip in front of somebody else and get in the fucking shower. Oh, I can't read right now. Sorry.
No, don't pay attention to me. I'm just, shouting to people out while you talk. We could do 2 things at once. You know me, ADHD Central, right?
Yeah, no, I get you. I just thought you wanted me to read it. But no, regardless, what a fucking demonstration.
You're not going to have a problem if you have to go to jail because you have some level of humbleness and humility. You care about what's true and what's right. You care about yourself and making your life better. And you know that opportunity can happen to bear witness and testimony anywhere you go, especially in jail. So you're not going to have a problem because you're not going to be crying on the phone every day, making a victim out of yourself, bitching to other people who don't really give a fuck. You're going to do your fucking time if necessary. You're going to be a better person for it. You're going to get the experience and you're going to know more and you're going to come out of it probably in better shape because you're going to exercise. That bitch ass motherfucker was crying about how he doesn't have a gym in the jail. He's getting soft and you were soft before you went in there. Don't make me pull out my big ass Scott 2B belly on this fucking broadcast right now and show you how it don't matter how soft your belly is and all the rest of it. It's your core. It's your spirit. I'm getting soft in here because there's no gym to work out. Tell that to all the gang members who are in tip-top fucking shape when they're ready to go off on a ride anytime because they're doing push-ups, sit-ups, and dips all day, every day. Are you fucking kidding me? He's got a fucking bitch-ass excuse for every day of the week. And men don't do that. Men don't do that. And if Chilli Decastro had to go to prison, he'd get turned the fuck out all day, every day, because they're not going to let him walk the line with the whites and acting like that or whatever he is. Crying about this, crying about that, making the race look weak. I don't even subscribe to that crap. I think it's a bunch of nonsense. There's no glory in that, but it's the reality. Imagine this. You go to prison for whatever the circumstances are, and now you got to walk the line on some level, right? Or you got to claim you got to claim holy exemption and see how that rides. They may just let you live because you're not about it. You're not involved with their politics. You ain't dealing in drugs. You ain't taking money and owing it back. You're doing your time, playing your bunk, reading your fucking books, and you ain't a problem for nobody. And if they see you got some passion and some get up and go and willing to stand for yourself, they're probably not going to want to be bothered with you. You ain't none of that. So there's just a way, man. There's a way to do everything. And this ain't it. Go ahead, sir. I'm talking too much.
No, you're good. Saying what needs to be said. But I agree. I think it's a perfect example of letting the time, like you say, letting the time do you and not doing the time. Like, what do you... I don't know. I don't even really need to speak on him. I don't really give a fuck. I just wanted to share, like, my own position. I think the regulars here kind of know what I'm dealing with. And I wanted to give the update. They called me with an offer again today, right? Off the record. They said, we'll dismiss it if you just don't get any more misdemeanors for a year. And I'm like,
You already got him, bro. What I tell you, you already got these motherfuckers right where you want them, man. We'll dismiss it if. How about, I appreciate that. I respect that. But brothers and sisters, you know that I can't. I'd be a dishonorable, bad faith man if I agreed to something and went back on it. They already know they got nothing, man. They're begging you to try to contract with them. We'll dismiss it if you go on record and promise that you ain't going to do something that's outside of your control. I'd love to do that. If you could just ask your officers and retrain them to not keep locking me up for what I have a right to do, then sure, I probably won't get any, but I can't cop to that because you know what's going to happen. I'm going to be back in here in 6 months. You're going to say, I thought you agreed to not catch charges. And then I'm going to have to say I did. And then you're going to say, well, you did. And now I'm going to slave you twice as hard, bro. You see the pimp game? Do you see the pimp game? And I know you feel over the moon that they keep. I know what you feel. I know, bro, I've been walking with you because I know me, I know you, and I know everything. Don't get it confused that I know what you and others feel this whole way. And it's not that I'm not empathetic. I'm just not sympathetic because you got to be forged in the fire to come out the other side. There's no other way to do it. I can't cry for you. I can't feel any kind of way for you. You got to walk this shit with me talking and showing my experience and go through it and see it for yourself and then go, okay, Paulie boy, I kind of get it now. You know? So,
No,
you know,
exactly.
You got him already.
Yeah, I mean, and again, it's like, it's just such an experience, man. You know what I mean? Because I've
So
never
what are you
answered
gonna
the
do?
phone.
No, I want to know. Now you got me excited. What are you gonna do, bro? How are you gonna? Because now you got you should have recorded that. I hope you did. If you didn't, you now got them offering off the record, on the record. There's never off the record to dismiss it if. So why not just put something in with the court since you had them from day one and make a conditional acceptance? I conditionally accept your offer in private to dismiss the charges. Based on the condition that I will not cause any loss, injury, or harm, or I'll even say, I don't want to use the word violate because it really doesn't apply. Folks say it all day, every day, but violation is like a sexual act and, you know, some other things. If I am not in breach of the law, that allows you to speak and double speak on their end to say, look, he says right here he won't break the law. If they try to bring you in again on any kind of code, policy, and statute, you point right to it and say, no, I said I won't breach the law. I didn't say anything about statute, policy, and code. See, this is how you win without fighting. This is how you get them without getting them. This is how you always tell the truth, even if you lie, right? That's what that means. Because I never lie, but I will use terminology that they will accept to mean one thing that I know how they see and think and what it's going to mean. And then I'm going to point out to them that that's not how I intended it. So you should have clarified with me what my intention was, because I know how you think and what games you play. And I know what you want on that record. So you can try to pimp me. So I never lie. And I always tell the truth. When I do lie, that's the closest I get to lying, is making a statement that they can interpret one way that I can point out means something completely different.
Exactly, it's hilarious. It's just, that's amazing, because that's exactly what I was thinking the entire time. I've never answered a phone that quickly when I saw who was calling. You know, it's like, oh, goody, they're back trying to communicate with me.
Why is this guy telling me what Chilli's trying to do, bro? You ain't gonna change the record of what it is. He's a coward, bitch. It doesn't matter what he's trying to do. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. What he is doing is demeaning and devaluing and attempting to detract from the work that I and others are doing, getting results, as this man is pointing out right now, with no attorney, paying nothing, signing nothing, agreeing to nothing, and have them running in circles asking him, hey, just do this, just do that, just do this, just do that. He's got him right where he wants him. They now told him privately, we'll dismiss if. That means you're going to dismiss either way, because you know if you push this forward, it's illegitimate. Hello. They're just trying to save face.
Yeah, and they wanted to try to make sure, to be clear, that they're not just offering to dismiss because they don't think they can prove it. I'm like,
of course.
Okay, thanks for that little footnote.
Yeah, bro. If they had you on something, if you were caught with 10 bundles of heroin, you wouldn't hear from nobody. It'd be 3 case dates and you're getting sentenced. And that's that. If you hired a lawyer, same deal. If you fucking acted like DeCastro and popped shit at court, same deal. Because you showed up honorable and trustworthy and good faith, and you gave them that correspondence, right? Yeah, they try to pretend like that administrator wasn't going to get it. He got it, and he said, you know what to do, boys. You better call this motherfucker up and try to get him in conditional acceptance. And if you can't, then we're out of here. I can't prove it. We're going to find out. But that's what it seemed to me. And I'm pretty sure I told you day one when you described what was going on there that you already had them. Because when they got you dead to rights and you've turned state witness and signed the papers and everything's on record, it's open and shut, cut and dry, airtight. They ain't looking to deal with you. They're looking to hem you up or get that money. So when they start asking a hoe what the hoe wants to do, that means the pimp game's over. That's just how I see it. What's your perspective, Julian? You're just going to continue? You're going to go forward and presume and have good faith that they're going to dismiss it no matter what? Or are you like worried that if you don't work with them in some level of good sense and try to find a middle ground that they're going to try to fuck you?
Honestly, I can see it going either way, because it's just sometimes when I've dealt with these people, it feels like they're willing just to enforce beliefs over law without even like a second thought. So
would you regret it? This is so simple, because watch what happens now.
Yeah.
Would you regret it if you didn't take this all the way through and you worked with them now after what they keep showing you, that apparently it seems you have some power and some value here and what you say and what you do matters beyond what they tell you got to do? Would you really be okay if you said to them now, okay, I'll do what you say? No, you wouldn't.
No, not at all. I wouldn't. No, like then that would be the most tormentous thing I could do, essentially, right? Because then there's no escaping yourself. Sure, if you have to
and
go
you'll never know.
Yeah. If you have to go sit in a cell for however fucking long, okay, you don't have to, succumb to it within yourself. So,
dude, God is so fucking good, bro. It's amazing. I can feel the fucking power in me when I come on here, and it's like the only thing driving me, and it literally translates to all these other people like Brian O'Shea and yourself, and I just feel like a fucking just connection to that force, and it just working, and then them going, oh my God, and then they do the Unslavian thing like it's a cult. No, Unslavia is code for God's working through me in this place, and we're all a conduit for that, and when you connect to that, they don't know what to do. Because God's people are not for them. They're there to govern the devil's people like DeCastro and all the rest of them. They ain't there to govern God's people who know who and what they are and are willing to move forward in faith and be honorable. It's just, it's something to behold, man. This is next level shit that goes on over here. I'm not fucking tooting my own horn. I'm not trying to have grandiose delusions. I've seen it work over and over again like that.
Yeah, man, I agree. It leaves me at a loss for words more often than not. It's just something to, like you said, behold. But yeah, I kind of just want to, keep the regulars updated, just so if there are the people out there who are either doing it just on their own time or whatever, and just need that little bump of like, if this could help bump someone's confidence and faith, I'd love to know that it was able to in some way. As long as we're not causing loss, injury, or harm, we're, being accountable for the loss, injury, or harm we do cause or have caused. There's really no losing. There's only growing and getting better.
Yeah, no, you're getting the experience, man. You can't buy that, right? As they say. So, this is where it's at. This is where the real true power and value is at. This is what cultivates and gives you that confidence and trust in that faith and in God and upholding the law, man. DeCastro, it doesn't matter how much money he gets in trifold he sells. He'll never have that experience. You're already telling me what I already know, that if you were to deal with them right now and even take the dismissal and promise them you ain't going to catch no charges, you ain't going to feel okay about it. It's all or nothing, man. It's go all the way or go away. Because you'll never know. You'll always leave this interaction going, what if, what if, what if? It's like courting with a woman, right? You'll always say, what if, what if, what if, till you jump all the way in and try to love this bitch. Good, bad, or indifferent, and walk the fucking long-term walk with her. There ain't no difference in courting, man. So you already know what you got to do. You already been given the fucking signals and the clues all the way that God's with you, that Paulie boy's with you, in spirit, if nothing else, that this understanding is transcendental. To some degree, it transcends and transforms a dynamic we were born into, and that you're going to get your answer here, and that's all you're looking for, really. Just like me, you're seeking the truth to be set free. So you want to know, and the only way to know is Be willing to go all the way or go away. Because if not, if you half-ass it and you stay lukewarm and you fence ride, you're never going to know. You're never going to get the experience and the answers, and you're always going to be wondering, what if? So, it doesn't even matter how it turns out. That's the thing. I believe you've been feeling it the whole time, what I feel, but I think you understand what I feel and what I'm saying when I say it doesn't matter if they let you go or dismiss or go to the box. It really doesn't. This is about you having a coming of age actualization, realization story in your life and saying, I will govern myself. I have a moral compass. Any government outside of me is superfluous if I'm not a direct threat to the public. That is purely sensible and reasonable based in common sense, common law. It's the law of this land. And you're on the right side of history. And that's what'll make it so that it's not going to matter what happens, right? It'll always give you some level of mitigation of that suffering. Right? There's a difference between pain, test, and challenge or suffering. Suffering is when you have no understanding of why the pain is happening, right? When you know why you're being tested and challenged, right? Like they say, a man who has a why can endure almost any how. And that's exactly what we have going on here. So, there's going to be a part of you, as strange as it sounds, if they do dismiss everything and you walk out, you're going to be surprised as shit. And part of you is going to go, you know what? I was preparing to go to the box for so long that it was almost like it was almost kind of like a letdown because you kind of expected it. You'll get the wildest experiences playing with this dynamic inside of a body and realizing it's not what we think it is. There's something else going on here.
Something bigger is going on here, brothers and sisters.
He ain't wrong. He just keeps repeating other people's shit and experiences with no understanding of what he's saying. So he ain't wrong. He's right for the wrong reasons.
Gotta love it, man. Gotta love it. But
your boy got the 60-day notice today. Did you see? He was on his broadcast, Slackcott. I just got the 60-day notice. They're throwing me out of here. No shit. They're going to eat up all your equity, charge you double to rent that place that you to own, and they're going to throw you the fuck out. And then you're finally going to realize, maybe you won't. You'll be so whacked out. You'll be like one of these people at Walmart with nobody and nothing and trying to tell me you know God and sit down. You're going to lecture me. Hey, different strokes for different folks, I guess. God bless them.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I try not to go to Talcott's too often just because, I don't know. I don't know how you are able to deal with the dissension from all these fucking angles all at once. I mean, salute to you for being able to, but damn, I couldn't. So, I don't know. I'm going to take a step aside a little bit. Just came home to a little bit of a mess. I have to hurry and get cleaned up. But yeah, I think my next move, I'm just going to try to type up a response, send it to the court and whatever their names are, the attorney people, and like I said, conditionally accept with the correct phrases and not agreeing to, other people's codes.
All right. Well, we'll see how it turns out, man. Keep us updated. I feel good about it.
Okay, will do. All right, thanks, fellas. And well, I guess just Paul. It's just you today, but I'll let you get back to it. I'm going to drop down for a bit. I might come back up if you're around.
Thank you, sir.
Yep. Bye.
Yeah, Julian's got it, man. He's already had it before he got it. That's the thing. I recognize self in all selves. I recognize the potential and the power and value in all selves. Just most times they don't recognize it in themselves. When I start speaking to that in a certain way, they start getting offended because they think that I'm projecting who and what I am onto them. No, I'm seeing the potential and the power and the value in you haven't even recognized yet. You start to tap into that and walk with that. Tell me all about white privilege, you bitch ass motherfucker. Hit the link and get up here. Tell me all about how I got white privilege. Where's that been at all my life, by the way? When they put me on drugs, labeled me, told me I was this, that, and the third, took me to a box over and over again, did violence to me, tried to put me in debt and slavery. Tell me all about the white privilege. Fucking moron. Another moron. You want to be really real with ourselves and each other? Most of the privilege I've seen in life has gone to black folks who weren't acting right and everybody just overlooked their behavior because they just expected less from them. Let's talk about that privilege. How you got a lot of black folks running around nowadays who act like complete fucking animals and disgraces to themselves and their people and think it's okay because they're black and everyone just overlooks it because it's cute and funny. The degradation and the disempowerment, right? Because they're black. It's cute and funny to degrade a whole people. to have them acting like fools and slaves and animals so we can have some entertainment about it, right? And you know how many folks are too willing to feed into that dynamic and call it blackness? Tell me all about the privilege. How many motherfuckers are unprofessional, unkempt, can't even talk, show up to a job every day, entitled to a paycheck, and aren't even a good representative of a company? But it's okay because we'll accept less for them. They're victims. That's probably you. You want equity? Let's do equity. Let's talk. You want to talk about privilege? Let's talk about privilege from all sides. I won't deny systemically black folks are going to get hit at the board harder than white folks. That's because statistically black folks commit 10 times the violent crimes that white folks do in certain neighborhoods. So that's the reputation that certain folks have. Okay. You can thank your brothers and sisters for how they behave in every metropolitan city across this land for how that record got that way. There's 200 fucking shootings every weekend in Chicago, dumbass. Who do you think's doing it? Jimmy and Johnny and Frankie? There's a reason why most things happen the way that they are. By the way, if you haven't noticed, the majority of celebrities and millionaires and billionaires quickly rising are a lot of black folks. So tell me all about the white privilege, because you're a fucking victimhood consciousness iniquitous slave. The word is iniquitous. I say iniquitous. I think it's better. Sometimes I rewrite the dictionary. I reword things. Tell me all about how black folks don't have an ability to fucking rise and be empowered and succeed in this life. They have more of an opportunity now than ever. Thoughts, questions, comments, concerns on all that? Because I've talked to everybody about all of it. Right? I grew up with black folks and brown folks. We got really real with ourselves and each other at certain points. And we even got heated at times. And they were forced to admit that I was correct. Because I pointed out to them one day, I remember a gang member, ex-Crip or current Crip at the time. That's exactly my point. Telling me about how the white man and all the system kept him down. I said, excuse me, sir. When you walk out of your house every day, who's giving you a paycheck and a job every time? The white man. Who are you looking over your shoulder? Who's coming to take your fucking property in your life? The black man. Enough said, huh? He didn't like that. So he got real uppity. Then the next day he said, you know what, Paulie boy, I went home and I thought about what you said and I fucking cried. Because I was lying to myself all along. The reality is the white people been there for me more in my life than my own fucking people have. Yup. Let's be all the way real with ourselves and each other about it. And that's a natural dynamic. I'll put it to you like this. When a white man comes out of his house, is he looking over his shoulder and living in a white neighborhood for a black guy to come take his property and whatever else? Potentially not. The people who are going to do it there look just like him. He ain't looking over his shoulder for Tyrone with a gun. He's looking over his shoulder for Maxwell in a white collar to sue him and take his whole fucking life with a checkbook, with a legal pad. So tends to be the neighborhoods we live in. The biggest enemies are people who look like us. But a lot of folks don't want to see reality for what it is. They want to project an enemy onto something that doesn't look like them or act like them so they can justify their lack of purpose and meaning and values and co-creation in this experience. Yes, all must take responsibility. Pretty simple way of saying it, huh? Pretty boiled down way of saying it. We didn't ever finish this clown. All right, let's get it over with. We'll continue with the bar if we have.
It's all good. I made bad choices in my younger life, and I paid my debt to society, and I came out a better person. So it's actually a blessing, because I don't think
right, because you're not a victim, right?
Everything that happened to me.
Because you're not a victim, right? You see Chilli's face. He's so confused. We ain't going to get through this, folks. And we have to come back tomorrow, if anything. I might not even continue it. You see the difference between a bitch-ass motherfucker who's playing the victim for sympathy to try to get this versus a motherfucker who's already got this in here, already got the power and the value, this or not, the true coin of the realm, right? Internally. You see the difference between I was done so bad, my life was halted, please give me more money to keep my business going, grifting on you, versus a motherfucker who says, I got the true power and the value, this or not, in the world and of it, versus kingdom not of this world, victim versus victor, loser versus winner, failure versus success. Do you see the difference in what it looks and feels and sounds like and how it presents? Hello. I'm gonna bring OG Percy on here, man. Oh, I reached out to OG Percy. He says he wants $750. I may have to just because he's funny and entertaining. You know, we may have to break up the monotony here. He can talk prison and jails, and we can talk spiritual faith. He wants 750 to come on here. I may have to poll the audience if they know who he is, if they want him on here, if they think that will be a good conversation, and if they want to contribute to it. I have it at this point. I don't necessarily want to. I really don't like the idea of even paying somebody to show up and have a conversation on the strength of it, you know. But I guess that's the way of the world, right? I'm one of the few who goes anywhere and everywhere. If you ask me whatever time you want to talk truth, trust, equity, and faith for myself, whoever else is with me, and more importantly, the audience, I give them what the fuck they want. More importantly, what they need. Everybody else don't live that way and work that way. And I'm not down on it. So we may have to do that. You know, if the audience wants to pony up to 750, it ain't like Wes Watson want 10 stacks. I wouldn't give that. I could have a millionaire in this audience say, I'll cut you the check 10,000 right now. I wouldn't give him shit. You know, 750. You know, everybody's got to make a living, I guess, if that's how he's doing it. If I want him, bad enough. If the people want him, 750 ain't the worst, you know, in the world. But I don't know. You know, I guess I could go either way on it. We'll talk about it. Maybe the cash Joe can reach into that $100,000 bag he's got every time he hires an attorney. He's in for 300 grand already. Maybe he could put up 750 for I mean, you know me, I could have $1 million. I'm a cheap motherfucker, man. I'm half Italian. Italian's a Jew that doesn't read. We know that. I'm one of the few Italians who does read when I need to. When it's absolutely necessary.
And I'm so proud of everything that I went through because I wouldn't be where I'm at, man. So when it comes down to it, yeah, I had to spread my ass cheeks a couple times. Part of the game, man. Part of it, bro. Part of it, dude. Better bend over and cough, man. Hey, man.
I just don't think that telling people to not get a driver's license.
I don't tell people that. What I tell people is that you don't
Gary
have to
S.
have a driver's license.
Gary S. coming out of the box with it.
Still invoke your right to travel. You don't ever have to give up a driver's license. You don't ever have to give up insurance. And I'll show you just a couple things right here real quick. So,
But can we pause for a second, Cameron? Okay.
Yeah, that's cool.
Listen.
Yeah, that's cool.
No. I just want to focus on what I just said to you.
Yeah.
And I understand that you're a horse of a different color, my friend. I understand. I spent, as soon as my brain fog didn't bust until a couple weeks ago, and then I spent a couple hours watching your videos. Okay.
What? Watch out. Bro,
So let me explain something to you. Being demoralized, having to spread your ass, show your guts to 4 people behind you. You may have recovered. Disgusting. It's the only thing that still disgusting. And it's so horrible. And some of the people in this
By the way, you guys obviously became aware just now, if you didn't earlier, that I got a new clip that Jeep Girl sent me, and I'm going to wear it out. I haven't used it as much as I should have this whole time. I was just reminded of it. I will be wearing that out over the next weeks and months because I can't get enough of Ian. His effeminate. He even did the limp-wristed. Disgusting. And please feel free to send me clips, right? Look up top. There's a banner, contributions and support, and also email, right? Feel free to email me videos, music, clips, whatever. It may get used, it may not. Don't hold me to it, but do it on good faith and see where it goes.
That here, if they listen to you and they say, I'm not going to get a driver's license, they're going to face that. They're going to face my nightmares.
Well, they better.
And I think that's hold on. Don't just go, oh yeah, okay.
Well, I was going to agree.
It's
horrible. Agree with that. And I agree with that.
It's horrific.
But at the same time, it's also horrific to disrespect the millions of people that actually died for us to have our freedoms in the first place. And when it's so clearly stated in relation to the Supreme Court law, you know what I'm saying, that in the Supreme Court law that we've had the right to travel for so long now, I can't see it any other way. If I'm going to sit here,
then explain to me the 1915 case of Hendricks versus Maryland, where the Supreme Court says that the driver's license, the DMV, can be established. You have to have a registration, you have to have a license, and you have to register your car. But tell me when it changed, so I can educate me here. We don't have to battle. Okay, so then that's the law.
Okay, so then let's get it right. Then the law applies to drivers. A driver is one who is employed on the roads doing commerce, either transporting his property or his goods. The second aspect,
Castro, you're doing what Brian does, where you act like I wasn't there a year and a half, 2 years ago, giving you the same exact rap. You're also acting like this guy potentially didn't get it from me. There's a reason my channel's been on for 2.5, 3 years now. Proper instruction motivates people. His channel's relatively new, as far as I understand. Power inherent in the people. It's one letter off, right? He's also came here and knows of me. It's not a coincidence. You're talking to a guy who's essentially learned from me or of me and somewhat with me, not directly, but indirectly. And you're asking him to repeat to you what he's essentially got from me and or the same books and sources I got it from. Like I didn't do this with you and for you 2 fucking years ago. This is all new to you again. You're just hearing it for the first time. You're open to be educated. What, did your fucking veil finally drop? His hymen bursted and now he's willing to take in some new truth, I guess. Albright, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. What's up, man?
What's going on, brother?
Nothing. Just this is a really great show. All the things that you're speaking of are just like, I mean, it's kind of sad, really, this Chilli Decastro guy and the whole nature of his being, talking about being in jail. I agree with you completely. It's disgusting. Like earlier, a few weeks ago on your show, I was able to get myself out of federal custody recently and get them to dismiss an indictment with 14 federal felonies by writing myself out of it.
But wait, I gotta stop you. But how many people do you have? This isn't a movement.
Yeah,
it's not a movement.
When I hear shit like that,
big deal. 14 federal counts, 14 federal charges, which would put some people in a fetal position for the rest of their life. And you're just casually, but how many people are doing it? How is it a movement? That's what I'm asking.
I'm doing it. That's the thing. It's like, and that's why I appreciate you, and I appreciate, the other individuals out there who are willing to be like that. I'm doing it. And as far as I know, I'm the first individual that I know of to get an indictment federally dismissed without using one of their attorneys in assistance. Did you learn
from this place?
A little bit, yeah, but I kind of already had like a little bit of a background.
Okay.
But yeah, no, you definitely sharpened me a little bit before.
Took it to the next level.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. I do. And I mean to show that respect and appreciation for you. And
are you gonna buy my trifold? My cryfold?
Bro, I'm broke.
10 of them? Right, can I put you down for 10 cryfold is what I'm asking.
Sorry, Paulie. There's that, bro.
See, this is why I'll never be a millionaire. I got the answers, I got the juice, I got the power and the value. I'm just not willing to sell it. I'm such a shitty businessman. I really am.
Yeah, but
you should get with Decastro's people, man.
Stand in your integrity, bro. You already know that's what it is. So, but yeah, it kind of gripes me a little bit to hear that type of shit. And I agree with you completely. It's like, I just saved myself 5 years by sitting in jail for 5 months and not bowing down and, working with their attorneys and
they kept you in there for 5 months, dismissed everything, and now you're gonna go for a lawsuit, I'm guessing, and get like
of course
$40 million.
I mean, there's a nice little number I've got in mind. Yes. And and actually a lot of the reason why I have to do with that is the reason why I haven't come out. As soon as I feel comfortable with it, I'm going to show you the affidavit that I wrote from jail. I'm going to bring all that stuff onto your show, obviously your show first, because this is like the pinnacle of what there is out there for people standing in what you like to call.
So let's get this straight, by the way. You did the same amount of time essentially as Decastro. Admittedly, he just said today 4 months. Yeah. You did the same amount of time. They got no conviction. They dismissed everything. And now it's going to be like, hit it out of the park for a lawsuit because they just kept you for 5 months with no conviction, then dismissed everything.
That's right.
That's a pretty penny if you rack it up what their case record, not law, the case record shows for precedent. It's like, what is it? I forget the number. Something, $10,000 an hour, $10,000 an hour. It's something. We're talking tens of millions of dollars based on precedent.
Most definitely. At the bare minimum.
And you get to know that you fucking won. right? It cost you a little bit, tested you and challenged you, but you won. You didn't cop out like a failing ass bitch, and you didn't have to write somebody $100,000 check. They're going to write you a check.
That's right. And you know, the whole time I'm in there, it's like as soon as I got indicted, it's like I knew that I was going to beat these motherfuckers, you know. But I'm not going to lie that who wants to fucking sit in jail for 5 months? I mean, goddamn. Like, I mean,
And you get some fear. Let's not bullshit here. You're tested and challenged. There's moments of fear. You got to keep the faith. It's a daily challenge and test, I'm sure, right? I'm just speaking for me if your experience was different, but somewhere in the back of your mind and more importantly in your heart, that thing said, just stay true to yourself and what you're doing here, and you're going to beat them. And you're going to have that story to tell.
Damn right. You know, for me, it's like I've never really I've been in some sketchy ass jails where people are still getting stabbed and shot or stabbed up and shit. You know, it's like, but I never really had a problem with that. My problem is in my own mind. Like inside those walls, the anxiety it gets to me sometimes, and I have like these, just certain days I just wake up and I'm just like, I'm in here, I can't, and it's just the walls get to my mind. And there's another, I'm gonna put this out there. I have a theory about these jails and how they use wave frequency technology to. And that's why men can't handle it, and they're all on pills and they do drugs and stuff. I don't personally. I do not use the drugs to cope with these things.
I'm not denying what you're saying. You may be onto something. I don't multiply hypothesis more than necessary. What I mean by that is you're already in a universe that is energetically dynamic and dualistic in the sense of positive and negative, just like any electrical experience, right? Any battery based or electrical based experience has the positive and negative polarity. When you don't have that grounding, right? And the grounding is usually in the negative pole, right? Or on the negative pole. From what I understand with electrics, setting up the solar system, building my own system, the grounding is usually done from the negative polarity, right? It's called grounding for a reason. Just like when they say he's real grounded. Grounding doesn't mean in and of the world. Grounding means you're so otherworldly and secure in your faith, and at your core spiritual level, you can take anything in the world while not being of it. It's a very Christed sort of beingness, right? Simulation.
100%.
So that's why these people are all just like I used to be, injecting heroin and all this shit. When I look back at what I was doing, if I even went into, I don't even talk about half the shit that I did to my body and what I put inside of myself with, just grinding up pills that weren't even meant to be shot and spilling toxic chemicals into the fucking spoon and shooting it up anyway, almost dying because I was such a fucking fiend, bro. When you don't have that trust, equity, and faith and that sense of self and that core spirituality, that thing to lean on and draw on, of course they're all on that. They don't need to shoot frequency waves into the fucking jail. Everybody's already a frequency wave. And of course they're going to be in a low frequency if they're not doing and being what they're meant to be. And now they're trapped with themselves and a lack of God, or God using the devil or allowing the devil to tempt them and play tricks on them and deceive them and harvest them and their soul, essentially, right?
No doubt.
You get what I'm saying, man.
I do. And you're correct. They don't even have to use those frequency things, but I'm pretty sure that they do. And either way, like I say, my whole thing
this is why I believe, I don't mean to cut you off, but this is why I believe if you want to go down that road, like they'll talk about the loosh and all the rest of it. This is why I believe that energetically, they can't keep a motherfucker who's with God and in trust, equity, and faith and energetically beyond a certain frequency. They can't keep them beyond a certain time because it throws off the energy of the place. This is why I say jail and court and all that is for the devil's people. They want to keep that frequency of fear and that low resonance of energy. They want it all day, every day. That's what they're harvesting in there. That's why it's called a cell. And that's why they call it battery. And they put you in a cell and they charge you. They're harvesting off your energy. So when you bring someone like me or someone else in there who starts doing ministry, trust, equity, and faith, fellowship, high vibing, as some like to say, they go, we got to get him out of here because he's throwing off the energetics of this place. It's not what this is for.
The judges and the people in the courtroom respond to me being in there. Like their demeanor is just changed. Their whole frequency, like they're like writhing. They can't even handle it. Like they can't handle that type of mentality and that type of frequency. and me holding my head high and knowing like I'm going to sit here and stand before you and you're going to have to deal with me, not my ins legis, not this bullshit on paper entity. I stand before you. And so, and that type of thing, they just can't handle it. They start freaking out. And so, yeah, so I mean, 5 months, like I say, I get some anxiety problems in there. I have my days, but I always try to keep in good faith and keep in good company. And I will say that about the feds compared to like a county jail lockup. This is my first experience with them compared to the state or a county. There's a different caliber of individual in the feds from my experience anyway. From my experiences between.
What do you mean by that? As boiled down as possible.
So as you will find the average guy caught for drugs in the county jail is in there for like a gram or some kind of small number. The average guy in the feds is in there for like 5 keys or something.
Oh yeah, we're big timing. That's all it is a step up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But that's a different caliber of individual who makes it to that level. And we also have like a higher caliber of intelligence, generally speaking, about these men who are like white collar fraud crimes and stuff like that. Like these, I just found it to be like a different caliber of individual. And I would just say that I made a lot more friends that I think would be like long-term friends in the feds than I have in the state.
Why would you're gonna okay, I'm just gonna act like I didn't hear that because you're gonna potentially ruin a dynamic with me, and that's a me thing, that's not a you thing.
Okay.
When people start talking to me about making friends in prison, it's a fine line with me because you're essentially saying you're opening a door to make bonds with people who are already in there, the majority of them, for making bad choices in life and trying to lie, cheat, steal, or get one over. Right. So I was never that guy. After I decided to better my life, I don't need friends. And I'm definitely not going to go to jail to start making friends.
No,
I'm not, because
either,
these are people who typically, they're not standing on rights, freedom, principles, spiritual faith. If they are, great. Most of them are trying to figure out how to do crime when they get back out and not get caught.
I hear you.
I don't want those people in my life and around me. The converted folks or folks who want to make a change all day, every day. Folks who have resigned themselves to being in and of the world and playing the game where the deck is stacked, the house usually wins. It's a fool's errand. I don't want them around me. I don't want to be part of it because I care about my sobriety and I care about only going to jail for what's true and what's right. You will not catch me anymore going to jail for lying, cheating, stealing, pushing drugs, or doing criminality. And I don't want anyone around me who's doing it.
Because that's exactly what I'm saying. It's like some of those guys that I met are already trying to like better themselves and expand themselves. And that's exactly what I'm saying about those individuals that I met that I would consider friends that I would, still speak to are the
obviously just be careful because that with every, Paul Unslaved who actually wants to do right, good, bad, or indifferent from how he behaves at times or presents, there's 99% of folks at times who they can say all the right things and even show the right things half the time, but they can't pull from their old ways, So you already know that. I'm not telling you something you don't already know. You've been around the block, I'm sure, and the majority, what it tends to be, right? These panels are proof of it.
Well,
it's a cross-section of society.
The Chilli Decastro guy is like a really fine and prime example of what you're talking about here.
He's a scumbag.
He's a fucking piece of shit. I hate that dude. I can't even believe that.
Well, I don't hate him. There's no hate, man. I'm just saying it is what it is, right? If you're a disingenuous, dishonorable, bad faith coward who tries to pretend in front of an audience to sell products, you're a scumbag where I come from. But I would more be able to stomach and entertain somebody who was shooting people, stabbing people, pushing drugs, and was unrepentant about it. I can't stomach a white motherfucker who is lying, cheating, and stealing and delighting at pulling the wool over everybody's eyes. I can't wait for people like that to get their comeuppance.
Well, that's it. That's the thing. It's like, he comes out as like this whole thing. I remember that was right before I got locked up in the early summer of last year when that whole thing was coming out about him. I'm pretty sure it was like right around that time when he was in jail and I heard, calls from him in jail on the internet where he's speaking to people on the outside. I might have even heard it on your show. I can't even remember, to be honest with you. And then now look at where he is now. It's like that type of sellout bitch assness is like, And the word hate, man, I just use that as a word for strongly dislike. You know what I'm saying? I just strongly dislike the morals and values of this man.
Right. You
And
don't hate him. You just don't like what he does, and you're not supposed to because it ain't based in what's true and what's right.
sure, I mean, no harm. I mean, it's like, you know, I really wish that this man would pull another 180 and come back to where he was and actually do what's right and stand in good faith and try to bring it back, you know?
That's what I told him, and he never got back to me. After he punked out like a bitch and tried to act like he was a victim with me, he goes, "Okay, fine, you tore me apart, whatever," and then didn't answer me back. And I tried to tell him, bro, I'm telling you this to say, I'm saying that to say this. The only reason I'm focused on you is because you do have potential. You could potentially be a leader here. You do potentially have a spirit or a strength in you. You do have a mouthpiece. You could be an ally and an asset to this movement. You're not now. You're the antithesis of that. That's the reality of it. I mean, you want me to not see power and value and potential in you? You want me to not speak to your soul and your spirit to put a fire in there and get some passion going for what's true and what's right? Well, then what's the point of even having me around? I don't have nothing else to do here other than live my life.
Sure.
So they don't understand that's what men do. That's what real men do with each other. They inspire each other to do better, be better, have better, and to seek greatness and see the greatness inside themselves and stop accepting less. It doesn't matter how you feel about it. You're only supposed to go back and think about it and say, you know what, he's onto something and I could be better by focusing on what the fuck he told me because I don't like it.
I hear you. It's just sad because, you know, not only for himself, you know, for a man to degrade himself like that, it's like there are individuals who may be influenced by him. And, you know, that's, I mean, it's like for the sake of whatever, it's like, why else? I mean, why else would I be on here sharing my story? Because I want to be like, oh, look what I did. No, because I know that there's somebody out here who can be like, well, that guy Albright, you know, he just beat 14 felonies in the feds, you know. I mean,
because it's fellowship, man. We get to say we're a part of this thing. We're a part of something here.
Sure.
Let's not deny that. Everybody wants community. The first word is commune and community. This is true community. I didn't have to meet you nowhere. We didn't have to live together. We don't have to be around you for us to have a bond in the communion of doing this walk and this work. He's claiming it and making money off it. He damn sure better be bonded in doing this work and this walk, and he ain't. And that's even more of a judgment and bad karma. When you're selling products to get something off what you ain't doing while claiming it.
No doubt, man. Hey, so did you ended your fast?
Yeah.
Well, hey, man, look, I did a 40-day fast one time.
I know, it's the third time you've told me.
Yeah, dude. Fucking anything past 20, bro.
Go fuck yourself. You just want credit on here. Everything you just said was true.
I don't at all.
I'm not communing with you. I'm not bonding with you anymore. You're starting to annoy me.
No, I'm trying to congratulate you because you're the only other living human that I know that has achieved this, and I don't want you to play this off as the way the Paul. I don't want you to do the Paul thing and be like, oh man, you know, I'm just doing my thing and blah blah blah. No,
it was mostly because I was obese that I made it. All right, let's just be clear. I had a lot of reserves.
What your motivations were, man. That's mental wherewithal that most individuals do not have. I don't care what you say. That is congratulations, and I really, really mean that. Like that's something that you know that I just don't feel like a lot of people, individuals have the.
Well, if you ask Snafu Slave and Tommy, it never happened. I lied to the audience for 30 days. Why didn't lie till 40 and rival Jesus? No one will ever be able to answer that because it makes no sense.
Right.
I guess that's what sold it, right? That I didn't lie for 40. I only lied for 31 and then decided, hey, my gallbladder's really been acting up. They say fasting is bad for that. I wanted to continue in spirit, but I probably should like just start living right and feeding my body properly. So I'm eating soup and salad now. So I'm going to be eating for a while. So, but if you ask the haters, the jealous, envious, loser, failure haters who can't get more than 5 to 10 people, watch them lose and fail. I never did it. It never happened. I just lied to everyone.
I believe
which is kind of a revelation of who and what they are. They're revealing that they're lying constantly because they think I and others are lying constantly. Why would I come on here and lie about that? Again, I came on here to share my experience and to inspire others because I know we're all here for the same reasons. We wouldn't find ourselves here if we didn't bond over the same reasons for living, you know, or lack thereof.
So how's your body adjusting back to food? I'm just curious from...
I almost passed out eating a salad the first day. My sugar went up or down or whatever it did. And I was like, and I was like, Jennifer, don't talk to me. I just need to breathe and go lay down. And about an hour later,
Yeah.
Everything leveled out, and then since then we're back on the horse, right?
I can
Got a couple
relate.
salads, couple soups, and no issues.
Yeah, you know, it takes a sec. It took me a second anyway. I did a 21-day fast one time too, and it really took me about a week to get back regulated. I was just curious how it worked for you and how your
I'm a
body
fat
was.
slave, bro. It's like that first thing happened, and then ever since then, it's like
You just right back
body's
on.
like, let's go.
I got you. Yeah, that the back to the video that you were doing today. I was gonna jump in earlier on your show, but this is such a good show today. You're just like killing these guys like in all the correct ways. And you know, I went on Cameron's show a couple weeks ago, and I was talking about my the federal thing and how I just beat the feds, and I don't know anyone else who's been able to achieve this. If there is another, I'd like to meet them and speak with them, hopefully on a forum, hopefully on your show I could like find another one. And there's just like a lot of like I don't know, man. It's just like
There's a 3 to 5% here, right? That's all this amounts to. It's the same way. I realize that everything's holographic and reflective. I'm not bragging. Again, there's no brag here. Sure. It basically puts me at a position where I'm usually, I'm not going to say I'm the smartest one in the room. I'm going to say that when you have a high IQ, again, I'll use the cliche, a man who's proud of his high IQ is like the condemned man who's proud of his large jail cell. Without God, trust, equity, and faith, and a bigger power and some level of communion or community here, I would feel alone and have most of my life. Because obviously you're surrounded by slaves who can't see, feel, hear, and talk. With that said, when they took the IQ test with me, they basically said you're in a 96 percentile. So what's the number there? It's right in the middle of 3 to 5% of the population. They say the founders and other revolutionaries are some of the 3 to 5%. The Islamists call themselves the 5%ers. It's the same thing across every board. There's only 3 to 5% who can see this, understand it, feel it, talk it, walk it. Right? There's only 3 to 5% who are going to choose trust, equity, and faith in God over fear. That's why the scripture says 100 and whatever thousand people out of 7 billion. Because it's like, it's not, on that level, I guess they were probably talking about numbers in that day. But it's the same numbers over and over again, right? 1 to 3 to 5% of the folks are called by God, and have the wherewithal to make the choice to call it back, and to walk it. So because I've seen the reflectivity of that gives me comfort to understand that I'm not alienated, right? I'm in a minority of oneness in the truth, life, and way. And that's a good place to be, right? And you can call it arrogance. I call it confidence in the faith. I'd rather be there. I'd rather be with myself alone on the journey, or with a select few folks who are actually seeking the truth and inspiration and empowerment here and want to walk with God and have this experience with me. I really have gotten to the point where I like the intro said, I have the confidence and faith so much of who and what I am and becoming, and others doing that with me, that I don't even care what the rest of them say. As a matter of fact, I think it's an insult to their and my intelligence for them to show up and even say it. Let alone do I not care. I go, you're really going to try to play this garbage in front of me and this audience and God and everyone else here? You must be a fool.
Yeah, but you know what? I still love this show, and I love your style because you always keep it open. It's just like, get on the fucking show and say it then. And you allow these people the opportunity to do that. So good for you, man. And like
to show their foolishness. Absolutely. Yeah, that's what makes this thing move.
Fuck it. I think that's great. So the thing about
it got wise to me though. Most of them won't come up anymore. You notice how quiet it is around here? For 2 years, they were all like jumping in to show their retardedness and foolishness. Now they're like, you're kind of wary about it because they caught on to me, right? It's not they caught on to me. I revealed it. I go, you guys are the content. I'm inviting you up to show that you're all oneself in slavery or in unified intelligence. Which one do you think you're going to be when you come up against me, and especially what I'm doing? You're probably the dunce in the room, so that becomes the content. They caught on to me, so they don't come around anymore. They stick with other fools who claim to be doing something but can't show results. We're better off that way. Water seeks its own level.
Yeah, they're getting played out. you know, it's like I watched that video with Cameron, and I like Cameron. You know, he's really trying to, you know, teach, and I respect that. He's just like, there's like a lot of times where I wish that he would just do the regular fucking G thing, or do the fuck, if not do the fucking Paul on Slave thing, and be like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, where you're a fucking bitch, homie. Like, I mean, that was the word that you used earlier. Like, that makes you a bitch, you know? And like this whole thing, it's like this sad sob story. It's like, bro, look, man, I started this little tangent earlier. It's like, yeah, I get these anxiety attacks in jail. It sucks. I don't like it. Nobody wants to fucking go to jail. But in all reality, it's, which is worse, that or bowing the fuck down? You want to go through 5 months, or you want to go through 5 years? You know,
you're already in jail because you live every day consulting a handbook of policies and listening to the corrections officers who ride around your town telling you what you're going to do and be. Why are people pretending like just because they can go to Walmart, they're not in a bigger jail that you can't touch the walls of? You're still run by policy and code. You're still told where to be and what to do every day. You still have an authority.
No doubt.
It's just, you know, they just don't have the dorms or the cages.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's like,
what is this person talking about? I want to address this person real quick.
Go ahead.
And then we got to get out of here soon. But come up tomorrow earlier, man. You know, I'm always going to fucking be all over the place, but more so during the end times.
I really wanted to let you. I was going to jump on earlier, but you were just killing it with that video. I just wanted to let you run and not interrupt you, bro. That was a great show you did today.
Well, you did, though. That makes no sense. You go, I just want to, and then you did the opposite. I mean, I'm cool with it.
And I just waited until the end instead of jumping in the beginning.
Oh, but it's not even. We're not even halfway through. Even halfway through, they tell me that it continues all the way to the end. So, like, if we want to finish this, we'd have another roughly an hour. Maybe we'll do it tomorrow. We'll play the second half tomorrow.
That's fine.
How you walking with God and Shaitan, Paul? Pick one, bro. Why are you projecting and presuming to know who and what I am and what I'm doing? And why is the presumption that Shaitan doesn't do good or have value? It's part of the experience. I'm more of a student, if you will, of the Tao, or at least aligned with it in the sense of how it conceives or perceives of reality. What I mean by that is I don't make an enemy out of the night because I can't see as well when it's nighttime. It's just nighttime. You know, you get where I'm going with this? You guys want to make an enemy out of the big bad wolf that you call darkness and evil. I want to see it for what it is, understand it, and not be a part of it as much as possible. You have to understand your enemy, and your enemy will cease to be your enemy. That's the art of war. And this is the art of the war where you win without fighting. So if you want to make an enemy out of the dark forces here, you will not be seeking to understand yourself, and by proxy, the creation. You will be in disconnection and disintegration. When you seek to understand and accept evil in the darkness for what it is, you can then walk your path of light and righteousness with an understanding, resolution, and reconciliation, because you won't be able to deny that all that lives within you. That's what the hypocrites do. Chilli Decastro wants to cry every day online, acting like there's not a devil inside of him and all the rest of them, and they're not fooling anyone because they show their devilish Luciferian ways all day, every day in so many different forms. So they project that onto me because I speak direct and I curse and I'm willing to call people out and all the rest of it and describe what they're doing, and it's mean and politically incorrect while they're doing Luciferian Babylonian games. Okay? So I'm not riding with Shaitan in that sense. Shaitan can be an adversary that I allow to work for me or with me by understanding it's only there to test and challenge me to become a godly man. That's what Shaitan does for everyone. It's going to make a man or a woman out of you. It's there to test you and challenge you. You only see it as an enemy and an adversary because it's got your number and it'll run a train on you and put you right into fear and lacking in faith and make you feel completely alone and powerless. It knows how to push your buttons. Once you seek to understand why that's happening and how to transition out of that, you're no longer making an enemy out of it. You're thanking the dark forces because they're your greatest teachers and testers through self-chosen suffering. That's a different level of self-understanding, understanding of the universe, and self-mastery. That's what allows me at times to dance with the devil or to dabble with the darker side of the force, to communicate an idea, to be another facilitator, to test and challenge all the bitch ass motherfuckers here who don't want to rise to the occasion of walking in the truth, life, and way, and under God and God's law. So it's got nothing to do with riding with or serving that. It's understanding it and how it's used as a tool to better ourselves and each other. The same could be said for the nighttime outside. It scared people from the beginning of time. They'd have made an enemy out of it. It was bad, wrong, and evil because the sun god was no longer out. Those who seek to understand it and walk through the darkness with an inner light will transcend and transform that experience. Those who want to live on dogma and in their feelers and fear will never understand it, transmute, and transcend that experience. So they will be disempowered. See, the man back in the day who can light the way internally and walk throughout the night without succumbing to all the lore and the mysticism, right? There's monsters out there. There's this, that, and the third. No, there's lions and tigers and bears. Oh my. Right. So, again, I'm trying to be allegorical here to make you understand that you want to communicate a feeling-based conceptualization about an objective reality, and it doesn't serve you. It detracts from your understanding, resolution, reconciliation, and direction. And this is what also leads to a lot of you guys' false modesty. It leads to you guys' hypocritical, overly piousness that you show all day, every day, claiming to be toxic positive and only working with God when a devil lives within you, when a dark side of the force is within you, if not without you, because as within, so without, as above, so below. To deny it is to let it run you. To see it for what it is, understand it, and direct it is to control it to some degree or have some level of self-mastery. And no, I don't think that's an attainment. That's a practice. Anybody could slip at any time. Right? So what you resist persists. What you ignore persists. The tiger you don't believe in is the tiger that will eat you. The tiger that you will ignore because it's uncomfortable, understanding its presence and how it works toward a bigger picture, is the one that will get you. If you don't reconcile and understand and illuminate your dark side, it will take you down from the inside out. Decastro's an example. I'm an example of someone who's tapped into my dark side. I use it to work for the holistic benefit of myself and others. Decastro's an example of somebody who's white knuckling, never showing you their dark side, and it's eating him up from the inside out, and it's tainting everything that he's doing. And it's why his results absolutely suck. Because he wants to pretend, and so many of you eat it right up, that he's a loving, caring, nice, polite, blah, blah, blah. Bullshit. There's no other way I could put it. So every beingness here is subject to two sides of the force. Every being here has within them what is outside, light and dark. Every being here is on a path to reconciliation and resolution of that darker side of the force, to work for themselves and others, to not become completely corrupt, reprobate, and disempowered. If you seek to ignore it, it will seek to destroy you. If you seek to understand it, it will be part of your triumph. You will be a victim or a victor. You will victimize or you will be victorious with others. Any of that making sense? Any of that hitting home? Any of that correlating with anything anyone else is seeing or feeling or hearing or knowing? He knows the enemy so he can expose the enemy. How can you expose when you don't have knowledge in? Right. This is when people used to say to me, Paulie Boy's got a criminal mind. And I go, well, that's great. Because if God wanted to use me in order to expose the criminality of self and other selves and this society and culture, I would have to have a criminal mind to know a criminal. Another way of putting it. It doesn't matter if I have a criminal mind. If I have a heart that's ordained with and by God, that's all that matters. That's almost the best combination, is when you have a criminal mind and a heart that goes with God. Now I can see the move. Now I know who and what you are. I can discern. Now I can get out ahead of it or play behind it and let it show itself. See? The average citizen needs to get a little bit more of a criminal mind so they can start to see how they're doing, how they're being duped and played and disempowered all day, every day. And then when someone with the criminal mind attempts to tell them and show them, they make a bad guy out of me. They have no idea what a bad guy is. What does the Tao say? What is a bad man but a good man's job? What is a good man but a bad man's teacher? Hello. I'm a bad man's teacher. I had to teach this man how to be good first and foremost, who was bad, and I'm here doing it for the rest or with the rest of you folks. Okay? What is a good man? Or excuse me, what is a good man but a bad man's teacher? What is a bad man but a good man's job? Lawyer? Doctor? Police? Should I go on? Lying, cheating, stealing, involved in corruption all day, every day. And claiming it's something else. 600 years before the Christ, the being the Tao is not off on any of this. Remains the same to this day. Give me a final word. I think I'm going to get the hell out of here.
See you tomorrow, buddy. Appreciate you having me. As always, it's a damn pleasure. And dude, congratulations on your fast, man. That is fucking baller, Paul. I mean, that is a true testament of strength and character. Anything past 25 days, bro. I saw it in your eyes the other day. I was like, man, that motherfucker's hungry, bro. Like that is an amazing accomplishment. So you should really feel, you know, I want you to feel that from me as in whatever way you want to take that. Congratulations. So that's it, man. Good for you. Like, I mean, it's just that type of, you know, that's just a testament to share with other people about things that can be accomplished, things that you can put your mind to and your body can accomplish. A lot of people, it's like you talk about what you were talking about earlier. If we come to some real hard times in this nation, and a lot of these people have never gone a day without food in their life, it's like it's good to know. It's like it's most people just don't understand that, you know, the things that you really can accomplish if you put your mind to it, like fasting, if you will. And so, dude, yeah, I mean, that's some baller shit, bro. So congratulations to you, and I thank you for having me as always. And like I say, once I get a little further, we can talk more tomorrow. I'll jump on the show tomorrow if I'm in a good spot. I loved what you were doing today, all the things that you were saying about Chilli Castro, and that whole thing is just like, you're just right on point with that. And if in the future, once I get further into this a little bit, I'm definitely going to become a little more personal and like put out the affidavit that I wrote to the feds from in jail that got me dismissed, and all of this stuff. I'd love to share it on your show if you'll have me. Again,
I'm here, man.
Thank you very much, Paul.
All right, I'll see you later.
See you, buddy.
The wise man is not moved by praise nor blame. I don't claim to be wise, but I can claim that I'm usually not moved by praise nor blame. I'm doing what I'm doing because it's true and it's right for me, or objectively, and needs to be done. You know, I need to practice discipline. I need to practice discernment. I need to heal my body. So that's why I did the fast that I did. Doesn't require praise, and it doesn't require folks saying I'm lying and blaming me for doing something I'm not doing. But I've always been one that they tell me I'm not one to take a compliment. I prefer to live life where I don't need them, because I know what it's like to live life where you do need them, and it's a horrible way to live. So that's part of what keeps me with no strings to hold me down, is that I'm not moved by praise or blame. But I'll take the sentiment to mean that you feel aligned with me and what we're doing here, and that's part of communion and community. But yeah, you know, baller and congratulations and this, that, and the third. I'm not. That's Talcott. That's all the rest of them. The false pride that go before the fall. Right. This is a transient experience. I'm in a body. I'm not of it. I'm using the body, and I've used it improperly. So if we're going to praise me for 31 days of cleansing and healing and trying to live right, how about 34 fucking years of destroying God's creation and living in abomination and defiling myself? You know, I'm not moving with some false pride here. You know, I'm blessed, and I'm lucky in quotes, or I'm blessed if God allows me to redeem myself when I've done so wrong for so long, inside of myself and with myself. Let's just be really real about it. I'm not a victim. That's the thing. You know? And if I'm victorious, it's only because the spirit and the force and the supernatural laws allow that to be so. and me attempting to help myself. Right? So it's like, this is a long time coming. I should have been doing what was true and what's right on all levels a long time ago. And I guess we all learn at our own rate. Really the bottom line. There you go. I don't need that either. I don't need to heap shame on me. I don't need to heap praise or shame on me. Right? I know who, what I am and what I'm not. I know what I'm doing and what I'm not doing, what I should be doing and what I haven't done. That's all this is about. Getting it right or getting left. I got to let this animal out. The beast is calling. Back tomorrow, somewhere between 12 and 5 MDT. We're going to finish up the Castro. I'm going to tear him a new asshole and he's going to love it. It's going to be long and thick. And I'm going to come from the hip with it, just like that guard did when he told him bend over and crack a smile. And Cameron, watch yourself, boy. I'm watching you too. I'm on your ass potentially, all right? But for now, Cameron is safe. White gorilla in his enclosure. Because I want to believe he's doing what's true and what's right with the right intention. He's willing to fellowship with me and take critique and leave it where it's at. He also seems to, I want to believe, have a kind heart. You know, I'm not down on people for having a kind heart. I want to believe I have the same thing. How I present, behave oftentimes may not reflect that to many people. But we'll see. It's a long game like anything else. They say if you want to know somebody, you got to live with them first. So in my Father's house, there are many mansions. We've built one here in our own way. And through the process of fellowship and co-creation, like always, we will come to know who and what everybody is, long game style. So blessings to Cameron, blessings to DeCastro, the loser, failure, haters, and disempowered, disintegrated, bad faith, dishonorable folks need the damn prayers and the blessings more than anybody so they can fucking get right or get left. And I guess that applies to all of us to some degree, right? My percentages are just better than others in some ways. I guess if I'm being equitable, there's different aspects to self and different perspectives, and it all amounts to the same thing, right? Nobody's above or beyond these dynamics. We just have to tighten up in different places and different areas in our life with the same understanding. All right, enough from me. Never short of words, for sure. Gorilla Gems, Unslaved Preview Part 2, Gorilla Media. When's that coming out, Gorilla Gems? We want it. We're hungry. We're hungry here. You know how we are here. It's what have you done for me lately, all right? That's how we roll. So we look forward to the new Gorilla Gems whenever that comes out. If I didn't say it, back tomorrow, 12 to 5 MDT, somewhere between there. Lately, it's been around the 4:30 Central mark. Do the like, share, subscribe thing. You guys already know that. You probably already did that. And come looking for me because they may not give you the notification. How many views did we do today? Views matter, brothers and sisters. Hold on. I got Julio Martinez says, thank you for your work and keeping me entertained today on the way to LA. Much love, much love. He said it twice, and that means it's got to be real. Thank you, Julio Martinez. One of the Latino angels here, which reminds me, I haven't seen or heard from Mr. Pedro Castillo. Hopefully he's good to go. Everything's good with him. I don't think I've seen him in chat unless he's under a different name. Brian O'Shea, a world famous comedian, triple threat, not even a comedian, triple threat, actor, singer, performance artist, interviewer, man on the street, rights, freedom, principles, activist. What doesn't this fucking guy do? That's the question. Blessings to him. He is blessed. What do I mean blessings to him? That man is blessed. No doubt about it. Prison for your mind, Neo. All right, seriously, I'm out of here. If you don't love the truth and you're not going to walk it, I'm going to tell you to go fuck yourself, and I'm probably going to call you a bitch-ass motherfucker. Like the outro speaks of. Is that what we're doing today? Yeah, that's what we're doing today. Paul Unapologetic on the way out. Say goodnight to the bad guy. Hugs and kisses. Bend over, spread your cheeks. Lip search.
You know how this goes, right? right? There's levels to this shit. Standing on truth and not wavering. But these folks want to talk all this high power shit, want to act like they're righteous. You bitch ass motherfucker. I'm so sick of these people, bro. I've never done a motherfucking thing and seemingly never will. You bitch ass motherfucker. First-hand experience can't be invalidated by the unknowing unbeliever. You bitch ass unexperienced. Are you kidding? Bitch ass. If it could, we wouldn't be here having these conversations because the devil would already have this place. You bitch ass motherfucker. What we're talking about is so concerning to realize the majority of the public will just sit around and watch shit that's bitch ass meaningless and valueless that gives them no application in the world to change their life. You bitch ass motherfucker. Experiential, observable, explainable, and demonstrable. What I represent in this thing, refocus, right? Re-energize. You bitch ass motherfucker. Do I want to go along to get to a bag? Bitch ass. Or am I calling everybody out on how we've fallen short so we could get somewhere with this? Because if not, it's all over at some point. The question is when. You bitch ass motherfucker. So how are you changing to meet life on life's terms and provide solutions to the problems we face? You bitch ass motherfucker. If you're not doing that, you bitch ass motherfucker. Well, then I gotta step out into the front, into the leadership position. I gotta put a target on me. You bitch ass. I gotta do what won't be done. Bitch ass. Right? It's not that it can't be done. It won't be done because they're cowardly. You bitch ass motherfucker. You're gonna have to hold fast to who and what you are and what you know. You bitch ass motherfucker. I know I'm the enemy because of what I stand for, what I do, and what I'm willing to say. Bitch ass. And what I'm not willing to do and say. You bitch ass motherfucker. Punk ass bitches are riding around in their convertible. Bitch ass. Breathing in the toxic heavy metals. Bitch ass. Slave trails. You bitch ass motherfucker. I'm here. I'm calling everybody out. Anybody can get it. Gorilla season. Gorilla season. Anybody can get it. I'm here.
Disgusting.